from spinning. I'm just thinking about your eyes. Just don't know if I've been faking or pretending, but I know I never felt so damn alive. I don't know if I believe the information given, that there is someone by your side. Coming back inside my body for a second, there is no way that I'm never gonna try. Hello, where you at, where you been, tell me everything about you, go slow, so I can write it down and become the perfect man for you. What you like, what you don't, you should never be flying so.
What up, Kayla?
Hi.
Welcome to the green room. Hello, Hamburger.
Hey!
I'm so glad you could make it to this one.
Ahoy, hoy.
Ahoy, hoy. I think you need help operating your telephone machine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're doing it. The Darrell Brooks or Darrell Brooks.
I think it's, it's spelled Darrell.
Well, whatever. It depends on who you ask. But the moral of the story is I had a tough decision to make. So I didn't know if I wanted to do his closing arguments or the prosecuting attorney's closing arguments. She is so lethal during this case. Like, oh my God. She did not let him get away with shit. She had it's horrible to say, but she felt like a courtroom ogre who
Yeah.
had a huge law club that she kept smacking him around with.
Well, he deserves it.
Sue on for the chopper. It was.
Was that her name? Hey, Dee Dee.
What's up, Dee Dee? Oh, I'm on a live chat. I'm on top chat, so this doesn't look right. There we go. Yeah, so whatever. I didn't know what to do, and so I decided upon his because he's a clown, and we might as well look at him. And I'm not good. I need to get some more sound drops. Here's the thing, guys. I need some more sound drops. Get to the chopper. It's not a tumor. All that stuff needs to come back. But whatever. Moral of the story is, whatever. We'll get into it when we get started. This is just the green room. So just chillax. Take a sip of your drink. Get ready for some Darrell Brooks. Oh my God. And there's so much of it out there. Was Shabusiness, Wisconsin too, or no?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Same county, Waukesha?
I don't remember. It sounds familiar, but do not quote me because I do not remember.
I can name more counties outside of the state I live in than where I'm at. I think I could probably name I don't even know how many there are, but I bet there's more than 5. I could probably name 5 of them.
Probably. I don't even know the names of the streets in our community.
Oh, that's not important. You don't need to know that.
I used to know all the
home.
ones.
Yeah, you get home by look. You don't need to know I'm driving past Elm Street or whatever.
It's Waukesha County. It's in the middle north, Kayla.
Middle north. Waukesha. Muskogee. Yeah. We don't hear a lot of or I guess I don't, because everything comes from east of the Mississippi. Nothing. That one channel that had that stuff from Bullhead City was really rad, but since nothing happens in Bullhead City, their interrogations are mostly people buying, selling, distributing, and or whatever meth.
Yeah.
And Michael Bailey with his balls hanging out was the only one that came out of there that was worth a fuck.
Non-meth. Maybe.
I couldn't find any interesting crimes other than just hey, we know you're selling this, yada yada yada. But when she's you're whipping your penis and testicles out, Michael.
Why, Michael?
I had to do that. Why, Michael?
Why?
Stiven?
The hair is there, Michael.
Stiven.
Shabusiness.
And now the whole Gilgo Beach killer thing is going again or Lisk, whatever. Because the Long Island serial killer and or the Gilgo Beach killer have been the brontosaurus of true crime, because it was the Gilgo Beach, then it was the Long Island, and then there were 2 things, and then actually maybe it's just 1.
Yeah.
Now I think they're back to 2. So Lisk and Gilgo Beach are 2 separate entities.
It depends on where you read, because there's things that say both.
There are so many active serial killers. That those being so close in Long Island.
Yeah,
would be abnormal, but it could happen, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, were they all the same?
That's the thing. It's like, who... I don't know. I can't keep up with all of these cases because they keep changing and there's more and more all the time. So you just have to like pick your favorites, really learn those, and then wait for something else to like, you know, fill your nose with a pleasing aroma or something.
I'm looking forward to Shabusiness's sentencing hearing, September 26th or something like that. Yeah. Unless they change it, because I'm sure the defense attorney is going to appeal.
We're probably going to have to go over more of Boone material if her stuff makes the air. But Hamburger, if you start, or if you not start, but if you read that most recent letter that was released,
I want to say, I forgot you had told me that she did one, and I think she may have done that one.
Okay.
The July 21st.
I want to snipe that one too.
It's 7 pages long, and it is fucking gold.
Okay, good, because
it's the first. It says clarify and clarity are like her definitions at the beginning, and I'm just like,
those are a roller coaster. So you might see another mashup between yours truly and Hamburger Helper.
Yeah, I downloaded it and I was reading it. I'm like, oh my god, like Hamburger needs to do it. And then I looked.
The wildest thing about this is like, she's so meta. She's breaking the fourth wall, saying, "Hey, I'm on YouTube. This shit is leaking left, right, and center," but it doesn't stop her from firing off 15 or 1600 word missives being like, "Don't let this leak." Or it's like, what the fuck? Hello,
hey,
Allison Marie Armstrong.
Yeah, she says at the beginning like something like she heard through her fan mail or something, quote unquote fan mail.
And here's the thing, she probably does have whatever the male equivalent of a prison bunny is.
Prison otter.
They're not going to be gay, I don't think. I'll ask Tony. But I just thought of it. I don't know why ladies are considered bunnies, because you could be a ski bunny, a badge bunny. I
don't get that either, because
bunny. I was never sexually attracted to rabbits. Yeah, that's the thing. She's like breaking the fourth wall and be like, "Guys, stop looking at me," while like handing out binoculars to everybody and like pictures of her to be like, "Hey, here's where I am." And she sorry, we haven't even really started this yet. And Kayla, buckle up. But she's a lolcow. This is Cyrex to a T. Like, it's the whole 7 years, Marty. Like, why do you keep bullying me? How does this keep happening, you know? And meanwhile, you know, you're doxing yourself left and right. You're hyper aware of the fact that it leaks, yet you're not aware of the fact that you're putting sensitive material in there anyway. So that's more like King Cobra JFS.
She hand-delivered that letter.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. It leaks. Everything leaks, especially if, like, you're in a county where no one gives a fuck, or anywhere in Florida.
Right.
I'd be like, hello?
She, like, the beginning of her thing, she goes, yes, my sixth lawyer. And then she proceeds
to have... Mr. Benkowitz, where are you?
She has paragraphs breaking down each lawyer and, like, each of their issues. Like, lawyer number 1 and 2.
That's what reminds me about the trading cards behind my right shoulder. The breakdown of the powers, maybe a little backstory on them. Boom. We have to do that now. All right. So in the meantime, why don't we get this show started?
This episode of FFOP Radio is brought to you by the Bathroom Cougar. Does this happen to you?
Someone's in here. Someone's in here.
With the Bathroom Cougar, scare off any would-be embarrassment before it has a chance to happen.
Oh, shit. I gotta get out of here.
The Bathroom Cougar. Available at Best Buy and all fine retailers.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Welcome to the show. My name is Dave. This is FFOP Radio. That, of course, was the incomparable Wayne June shilling the Bathroom Cougar, my own personal invention. I've got
Yes.
a lot of them. They're $1 million ideas. And by now, I could have cashed in any number of them, but I'm not greedy. I like being working class. I like being among the people. If I cashed in any one of those $1 million ideas at any time, I'd be gonzo off the web, living in, under a palm tree is what I'm getting at, or a pine tree. I'm not sure yet. Krista is also here, of course, acting as producer.
Yes.
So, you've read the title. You heard us talking about it before the show. Let me get his ugly face in here. We're going over Darrell Brooks. So, let's catch up, everybody, and get a thumbnail sketch of Darrell here. So, a couple of interesting things about this dude. He is the guy who took his SUV through a Christmas parade in Wisconsin and killed and maimed a lot of people. Mm-hmm. He was an aspiring rap artist, and the SUV in question was featured in a video that he opened the door to and then got played in court. Like, he acted as his own lawyer, Abby, and they weren't supposed to play something about the video because it was super prejudicial, or however they describe those sorts of things. You know what I mean? Unduly prejudicial. Mm-hmm. And like in a classic SVU move, he says the wrong fucking thing, trying to sound smart, and the prosecuting attorney picks up on that, and she goes, "Hey, you rung a bell, and now we get to watch the video, and everybody gets to see him rapping in front of the vehicle that he."
Awesome.
And P.S., it's not like that was even needed. Like, there were survivors, dozens, if not hundreds of people who saw his face. He just this was hot on the heels of him physically assaulting his girlfriend.
Yep.
Was the business. I have not watched I've seen bits and pieces of the video. I can't bring myself to watch the whole thing, but yikes, man. And what a change, because you're going to look at him now and he's, everything is cut off and he's wearing a shirt that's size and a half too big and a tie that's probably a clip on. And
he's got that lawyer book that's from the library because it's got the permanent marker on it.
God knows what he was or who was feeding him legal jargon and shit during this case. It was a fucking shit show. If you have not made yourself aware of Darrell Brooks, this was just going to be a little taste. This is him at his calmest, which is nuts because most of the time he was removed from court, pulled his shirt off and was holding up flashcards of things that he wanted the judge to do. And she has the patience of a saint. Everybody involved is just get this the fuck over with.
That's his prop Bible.
I don't know, man. Somebody gave him notes, and I think even the Waukesha County Bible.
Yeah, his jail Bible. Yeah.
But that's got to be a lawyer book or something. That's got to be a book of statute. It's if he's not going to bring a Bible. Maybe he did. God knows. If it's a Bible, then whatever. I get it. But you bring a law book, especially if this is the last your closing arguments. How whatever. If you saw this, whatever you saw it, but there's something about the beginning of this footage that you want him. He was building a fort to hide himself from the judge and the law. So he was trying to pull the sovereign citizen bullshit. He wanted to have the state of Wisconsin produced. Since it was him v. the state. Mm-hmm. He had some bullshit about evidence and chain of evidence. And now he got fed some bullshit about jury nullification, which is a dangerous thing, apparently. And look into it. I don't want to butcher it because I looked into it and now I can't competently recite it to you. But jury nullification is something dangerous that is out there that he could fuck up and whatever. And it feels like this might be a little bit of goaltending or whatever. If you're more familiar with the legal system, then whatever. Maybe you know why, just bringing it up is more or less just bad form. I don't know. That's the impression I got.
Jury nullification occurs when jurors, based on their own sense of justice, refuse to follow the law and acquit a defendant even when the evidence presented seems to point to an incontrovertible verdict of guilty.
Bingo. So that was going to be his Hail Mary. Mm. He was going to bring up jury nullification and go, you have the power, you have the right, and all this other bullshit.
Oh, he was going to try and...
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that
like,
wouldn't be good.
But I don't know if there's anything strictly outlawing the fact that you can tell someone that in court.
Well, they can do that, but then the prosecutor could have the judge.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He's gonna basically get gagged.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is that's the point of what we're getting at. He's been making noise about jury nullification in front of them, and that's what she is going to be touching upon immediately.
Go ahead. I apologize. May I ask the court to consider perhaps an alternative, and I fully respect the ruling the court has just made, and I understand the basis for it.
She's hilarious.
We all know the defendant in his petulance will
Nice water
say jury
bottle.
nullification in the first 3 seconds the jury's in the room.
Objection to that.
Objection
Proper
to that.
I don't
thing
think
to
that
do,
I
I
should be
think,
talked
Your
down
Honor.
to.
Stop interrupting, attorney.
You're not being talked down to, Darrell. She's talking to the judge.
Right. She's not talking to you.
Not talking to you at all. Shut up, Darrell.
Look at the size of
They
that guy's
gotta be
camera
talked
lens
down
in the
to.
background.
Yeah, that's definitely like a 70 to 200, like f2.8, because there's low light in there.
Allow him to make his closing argument. I will object if he
Yeah, right. I
misstates
thought
the
that
law.
too, Dee Dee. They're talking about-
Instruct the jury to disregard any misstatements of the law. And we continue in that fashion, if possible, for a reasonable amount of time. And if it becomes to the point where there's no
Oh, yeah.
reasonable legal
Wisconsin accent's okay, but still, my favorite is the Boston. Like Philip Markov's detective will always be my favorite. In accent quality alone. I don't know who maybe John Dudinsky. He's up there too.
credible argument that's being made, then the court can decide as to whether or not he's forfeited his right to a closing argument. But we could at least try to, by merely objecting and the court telling the jury to disregard.
See, that's the thing about this case, is because he was such a fucking pain in the ass, he forced everybody to cross every T and dot literally every I so that he couldn't flip-flop and turn it over on appeal or say that he got an unfair deal or whatever. So that's the time when you'll see the most respect showed to someone is if they are the biggest baby. And that's why they have to do this, like to go like, okay, we know what's going to happen here. Like, we're adults and he's not.
We'll allow it, but
When he does that shit, tell them it's a fairy tale and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
But like, here's the thing. On what planet would you sit as Darrell Brooks killing up to a dozen people, horrifying an entire community for God knows how many generations to come? And he goes, jury nullification. And they go, yeah, fuck the government. Let's let this asswipe go.
God, I would.
Like, he's not Martin Luther King. He's a fucking parade murderer.
Yeah, I never want to be on a jury, and I would never want to be on a jury of a guy who's defending himself.
I want to be on a jury so bad.
I know you do.
And they always go, oh, well, thanks for your fucking interest. Thanks for driving down the 45 minutes. Here's your check for $13 in gas and 2 wasted days. Oh, yeah, because that's all I lost was gas. My job stopped existing while I was here.
There's a girl on my Instagram who's been on a jury in Phoenix for like 2 weeks now. She's self-employed, but she's still not making any money because she can't do her work.
I've been up for a couple, and they were both like interesting and juicy cases. Like, one was a not big time, but like a larger than average drug moving operation that centered around a lady. Because I was like, whoa, it's like lady cartel, higher up or whatever. And the other one was a classic SVU case involving a stepdaughter and stepfather. So I was like, oh. And they were like, you know what? We're going to take the dude whose like face looks like leather, who admitted to like running from the cops in the 70s in a burnt out 73 Super Beetle while toking up the sweet Mary Jane. He made it in, for fuck's sake.
He took the subway. Oy.
Oh yeah, we have nothing but cars out here because you can't you can't dig into the earth out here. No subways.
instructing Mr. Brooks to move on to the next topic, we could try to allow him his opportunity to provide a closing argument.
Keep in mind, this is like an hour-long video.
That's unworkable, then I think this record will be very clear as to the efforts of this court. And I think there is materials in the bench book, or I'm sorry, the jury instruction 705 that talk about
Disregard quackery.
a jury instruction. This court could even give, telling the jury that they are not at liberty to disregard the law, but we're not going that far yet because...
So here's the thing, with jury nullification, would like every jury member have to do that? Because otherwise you would just be a hung jury and it would be...
I would imagine so. So when I was watching Shabusiness's thing, they had 12 jurors, but only 10 of them had to be unanimous. And there were 2 that were like, the judge called 2 of the people's names and were like, you guys are backups.
Right. Okay. Well, that's each jurisdiction is like, when you get down to the nitty gritty, like, why isn't this the same all over? Like now
right.
that we don't, because people are fucking stupid and petty, because we need this bizarre separation of like local and federal instead of just like everybody getting on the same page and being like, this is the one D&D manual we'll all play by. It's like, oh, you do this one, you do this one, you do this one. Like the federal stuff will more or less be on the same thing because they have to be.
Yeah.
But like, why do states, like some of them are just like, hey, you know what? Fucking, it's Friday. It's casual Friday. Wear a t-shirt. Only 6 jury members have to show up and there's tacos in the lounge afterwards. Like what?
Frankly, you have told them and you will tell them that closing arguments are not evidence. And
I feel insulted they have to say that to the jury.
Yeah. So I know it's going to require effort for the court.
She is so exhausted
to allow this to
I can only imagine.
this trial. Yeah.
Allow Mr. Brooks to try and proceed.
Like, if the through line and all this, the science and the studies hold true and stress causes gray hair, I can't believe that by the end of this, she just isn't a shock of white.
But I think we should try that or something similar to that in an effort to get through this next step, or else we will continue at this pace forever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was never a matter of like, will he or won't he go to jail? It's just how long will he drag it out? This is the last vestige of power for these types of idiots. And so they drag it out as long as possible. And it just does feel like you're turning a big crank that clicks every so often. And like, that's the thing. We as the public can go like, fry his ass, and everybody in the legal side, like these people have to go like, oh God, okay, so the next step in the formula, like we all know it's going to be cupcakes, and we know like it's like a recipe we know by memory, right? Mm-hmm. You go, you throw it together and you bake the cake. But imagine how annoying it would be if the person you were baking it with constantly referenced the recipe at each ingredient, painstakingly measuring and then double check. Like, come on, let's go.
I'm certainly willing to try that.
P.S. Like,
wow.
I always thought judges were like, the gross, like, lawyers were where your charisma and your looks were, right? And judges were like lawyers who were like, you know what? I'm super into law, and I also don't have the looks or the charisma of lawyering, so I'll judge. Mm. But like Shabusiness's judge, his judge, a lot of these judges, they can get it.
Yeah.
It's about all we could come up with, Your Honor.
Measure Twix, I read that as. Measure Twix.
Me too.
Cut once.
He disregards that to excuse the jury, and then have him present from the other courtroom would be the second step, and then third would be a forfeiture.
I will just turn off his mic repeatedly as usual.
I object to that.
Okay.
That's fine. We're ignoring you.
Like, here's the thing. Objections are powerful tools when used in appropriate times. It's like the mythical hammer of old, right? Like, if you tried to fix every problem you have with a hammer, you're probably going to, at best, end up with a lot of broken shit. At worst, you murdered someone.
I know I keep bringing up Shabusiness's trial, but goddamn, that defense attorney objected so much, and that judge overruled every
single sad because, like,
time.
The inexperienced...
I don't think he was inexperienced. I think he was just grasping at nothing.
Right, but that's the thing. It smacks of inexperience, because if you know you're grasping at nothing, you don't grasp. Like, if you know you're going to reach into a bucket that you hope is full of mackerel, but it actually has one minnow, eventually you got to go, okay, I'm going to wait and watch and hope and then strike at an opportune time instead of just repeatedly plunging my hand in, hoping that I accidentally punch it and knock it the fuck out. Like when David slew Goliath, he chose the right spot. He didn't throw a million rocks trying every little fucking, hello? Pee-wee.
Your objection is noted for the record. That will be the course of action that this court takes.
Object.
The first time you violate
That is my ruling.
The rule, you may be subject to forfeiting your right to be present, where you will give the closing argument from the other courtroom. And if you continue,
You're familiar with the other courtroom, Darrell.
Requirement that you not reference in any way jury nullification, I may make that final determination outside the presence of the jury.
I object to that, Your Honor.
Don't care.
All right, with that, let's bring the jury out.
For the record, may I respectfully request the legal reconsideration of your ruling?
What does that mean, Darrell?
So is that a tacit agreement that you don't have to answer my objection, Your Honor?
Stand up, bitch.
It's a tacit agreement.
I decline to reconsider.
I reject that ruling and take exception to that ruling, Your Honor.
I am reading from a note card.
Judge. That's the thing. He was like, he doesn't want to be referred to by his name because he was representing himself and referring to himself as the third person. Like, it was everything that an insanity defense would be, save for the insanity defense.
Yeah.
And later he'll try and bring out some emotions about all the people he hurt and stuff. And it's just like, what the fuck?
Every time he looks down to read from his note card, he always rubs his forehead.
For the record, may I request
beforehand.
a legal or factual basis for your ruling, Your Honor?
No.
Denied.
He must have, when he had a public defender, he must have given him some notes or whatever. And every time he goes back to his cell, he's like, okay, every time something happens or somebody says something, blow through this checklist.
I'm going to reject your ruling. Da, 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 da.
Right. And I'd expect that from Darrell because he's not a lawyer.
When the state would object, the judge would say sustain, and Darrell would ask, why this is sustain?
Yeah, he's such a... I do not accept your rejection of my inquiry about the ruling, Your Honor.
You don't have to.
Fuck you, man.
She's the boss.
For the record, may I respectfully
She's the
request a
Tony
written
Danza.
judicial finding of facts and conclusion of law.
I think he
on this
doesn't like
issue,
that
Your
it's a
Honor.
female judge.
For
I
the
don't
record, May I
know.
respectfully move for interlocutory declaratory appeal on this matter.
It's closing arguments.
To address that.
For the record, may I move
Jesus
to stay
Christ.
these proceedings until this...
Everything was for the record, too. For the record. I
Yeah.
need to go for the record. This is for the record. For the record, do you know that I was blah, blah, blah?
The poor stenographer.
For the record, the evidence, please, Hamburger, you probably know the phrase he used regarding the evidence. It was I don't want to say it was what do they say at SVU? Preservation of the countenance or whatever. It was, he kept talking about some bullshit like that and then kept asking for the state of Wisconsin.
This instant matter is adjudicated by a court of competent jurisdiction, which this court has no subject matter jurisdiction.
Denied.
Under,
All
based on
rise.
what law or
All rise
fact?
for the jury, please.
Based on what law or fact?
The fact that you're a fucking idiot. Yeah, I guarantee everything that you see that looks official was handed to him by his former lawyer,
Yeah.
who probably, holy shit. If Darrell had the same tenacity of, necessity of lawyers as Sarah Boone, he probably would have blown through a dozen or more.
Mm-hmm.
To inform the jury of their power. They deserve to know.
Shut up.
Don't. They're going to make the jury leave again, dickhead.
Who's that dude in the background?
He's like, what the fuck, dude?
That sweater. That's a Wisconsin sweater right there.
Waukesha County pride. Go Packers! And P.S., I understand, he thinks he's smart and all that, and he thinks that at some point he can overthrow this case with a technical something, a legal loophole that he is just a fucking genius about. But the thing about those people is you have to play those cards close to your vest, because if you come off like an unhinged moron, eventually when all your cards are on the table and you've got 3 2s, a joker card, and like a 7, and the jury goes, whoa, you were fucking insane. You have to go like, hey, that was all an act. I'm totally not. Whoops. Right?
He would ask, who is the plaintiff in this case, to
Right.
every witness. Then they would say, the state of Wisconsin. And he would ask if Wisconsin is an entity or a person. They'd say entity. They'd ask, do you know what the entity can't bring a lawsuit? And the state would object, but he kept doing that.
Unfucking believable. It's like, it's not even like a difficult legal concept, right? Like the idea of legal entities is a thing. Like, have you ever heard of a company, a corporation, a limited liability corporation, if you will? These are things that are legally autonomous, but aren't things. They're not people. They're just concepts in our mind, and they exist on paper and in the hearts of businessmen everywhere.
Right.
So I don't understand why he thought that this was like, here we are 250 years into the American legal system, and he's like, aha, no one thought of this.
A state isn't a person.
What? That's like staring at the Mona Lisa, like with everybody else in the loo, and going like, whoa, there's a lady in that picture.
My God.
No shit.
She hates her life. She hates this
Thank you,
trial.
everyone. Please be seated.
Don't say it.
Don't open your mouth,
Go
Darrell.
ahead, Mr. Brooks, your closing argument, please.
Oh my God, please. Fucking.
Good afternoon.
He's not wearing a belt. Probably because they don't want to.
They can't give him a belt, I'm sure.
Well, they gave him a tie, but it's a clip-on. But still, it's a tie.
They couldn't. So, Shabusiness, I was looking at her hair the couple times that she had her hair back. She had her hair back with a twist tie. You know the twist ties that you use for bread? That's what they used for her hair.
But like, that's the thing with violent, like ultra-violent criminals like her, where she like used her own hands to rip a man apart. I get that. But
I mean,
like,
you probably have to go
like, here's the thing. I get why you would say, no, Darrell, you don't get a belt because maybe you'll whip it off or do whatever with it. But still, a clip-on tie, even if it like the small part rips off, that's like whatever 18 inches of cord to do something with. Like, either all or nothing is what I'm getting at. He already looks like a kid who snuck into his dad's closet. Oh yeah, his holier than thou.
First
like,
off, I'd just like to start by letting you guys know that
you can nullify this.
it's a lot of information that you guys should be privy to, I believe.
But remember, closing arguments are not evidence.
And
I remember that from earlier.
It's basically a summary.
one thing that I believe that
I love this
have
cop's
not
face.
been privy to is the truth of your rights and your duties.
He looks like a Pac-Man frog in uniform.
The jury. The fact that you and you alone have the power. Not well-prepared DAs with
He's the good. He's the best.
well-prepared and clearly rehearsed speeches and exhibits and a lot
There's
of
memes of
theatrics.
him. Of the
Oh, totally.
The
Like,
dude.
oh my God. Like, how could he not? You might see his face show up in future thumbnails on this channel.
Frankly, not the judge.
Jury nullification.
You alone
Objection.
have the power. You
Get out of
alone
here. Get in the other room.
decide
You're in
what is truth
timeout.
and what isn't truth.
Truth. The truth is on fire.
You should be informed that
Oh my God, she
Look
looks
at
so
her.
angry.
And that was
Damn.
her face the whole fucking time. These bitches are fucking
Savage.
like, if you saw the animated Hobbit, these bitches have goblin faces and the eyes of the tiger.
you have the power to nullify any law that you don't agree with.
Objection, move to strike misstatement.
Sustained.
Object.
Unbelievable. So the thing they were talking about under 3 minutes
Yeah.
ago happened.
32 seconds into his closing statement. There you go.
You have the power to nullify. Objection.
I will strike from the record the last statement made by the defendant. Jury will disregard it.
Objection, Your
Clearly
Honor.
what I've been saying.
Clearly, what I've been saying. Strike it from the record.
I believe that not only is it fair, but it's essential that you be privy to all knowledge.
You just said that.
Not knowledge that certain people feel that you should hear and shouldn't hear.
You'll never be privy to all knowledge, even in a single subject, even about a single second in time. You will never have all the knowledge about that. Anyone who's like, you need to blah, 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 shut the fuck up. We are woefully bad at reconstructing reality when we were there and then throw a bunch of other perspectives in. Like, Darrell, what are you bringing to the table here? You've got nothing. Like, you should know it all. And like, it's nothing. P.S. The thing that you should all know about is nothing to do with this case, but a technical legal loophole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is the Hail Mary, and I just wish we had some, because you can't show the jury, I'm sure.
No.
I want to see because I have trouble controlling my face, which is probably why I get kicked off of a lot of juries.
Probably.
But I want to see the looks on these people's faces as they get a fucking snoot full of this shit, because, like, what?
You're not, like, allowed to, when they do these like law and crime channels and stuff, they have them put in specific places of the courtroom so the jury is not.
Oh yeah, I know, because it's whatever. It's for
it was
their
a
own
whole thing at
protection, yada,
Shabiznis's
yada, yada.
trial.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I get it, but like, Jesus Christ, I want to see, show me a facsimile of like 12 average faces and how they're emoting as he is speaking.
Oh, that'd be great.
My insides are turning upside down as he says all this cringe shit, and my face would show it. And I wonder if the point of all this is, I wonder if he saw a 12 shifting, cringing people, would he pivot? Or is that even happening? I don't know. They won't let me on the jury.
Disguised under the color of law.
Snuck in under the color of law. Red, white, and blew me away.
The fact of the matter is, just like I did with
my van, sorry, SUV.
my opening statements, I don't have a well-prepared or rehearsed speech.
Bullshit. You're kidding me. Darrell.
Couldn't tell.
Don't tip your hand.
Look in the mirror and say certain points to myself over and over again to make sure I have them right or anything like that.
I didn't study or look up any new information. I just cobbled together a bunch of notes.
Words.
From he stole a book report in its less than first draft.
Yes.
And that's what he put his life in the hands of. Mm-hmm. Darrell Brooks, nature's a D- student.
I've chosen to speak from the heart.
The heart. The heart of a man who ran over
a bunch of people.
Dozens of people. Kids, adults, the elderly, all celebrating Christmas, the one holiday that pretty much everybody gets on board with because there's presents involved, despite your religious ties. Unless you're a Jehovah's Witness and you don't have any presents, sorry about that. Or whoever. But moral of the story is, everybody likes to have, the worst,
Hey, you get a week off of school.
If you ran through a radical political parade or whatever, they go, whoa. But showing up at everybody's favorite time of the year when all the grandparents and the grandkids and everybody's getting together, I can't think of a way to make yourself public enemy number one unless it was a Christmas parade that was populated exclusively by policemen.
Right.
What the and then to be yeah, I don't know who it was, everybody can see me through the windshield. Plus, that was in the music video that you all guys saw.
Statements.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to speak from the heart.
Finally.
Oh, finally.
Where is it? Where is it? Where's that heart?
What you won't hear me do is argue facts. And the reason you won't hear me argue facts.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't talk to you. He talks at you.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. The least offender of this subspecies of human is like the wait to talker, where like they'll be quiet while you're talking, but they're not listening and they just open their mouth and verbal diarrhea comes out. And like the extreme of that is this, where like they'll talk over you and disregard what you're saying and won't even like admit that you're even a person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jesus Christ. Whatever. And that's the thing. Talking back goes so far in civilized society, and this is the last chance he gets that. Because, like, when you get to prison, you start back talking and shit like that. Sure, they'll be civil at first, but then they put on the spit mask and they get the tear gas and the clubs and shit. It's not like they'll put you in a different cell so you can take your shirt off and do charades to a camera.
Is because I believe that it takes away from what should be recognized.
Which is I killed a bunch of people.
This event. It should be recognized.
Hello?
Trying to argue facts of this, facts of that. I'm not going to waste your time doing that.
It's closing arguments, so you shouldn't.
I will waste your time getting thrown out 40 times. You guys want to see my pecs again? I'll pull this shirt off. It's a little big anyway.
It's a little emotional.
Is
I
it?
apologize for the long pause.
I'm actually just stupid, but I'm covering by saying I'm emotional.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice that my eyes are actually getting drier.
Let's pan in real close to his face. Bring back the cop.
To keep everything together emotionally.
Oh my God.
And honestly, I don't believe.
Like, how many minutes ago was he just like, Your Honor, what is the facts or basis of law for that ruling, bitch? And now he's like, I've been there, right? We've all been there where you don't know what to say, but it is a moment where you can pretend to get off emotionally.
Mm.
Except this isn't like a birthday or a funeral or something. Like, this is fighting for your life. So to be like, give me a minute, and then 45 seconds elapse as like you don't cry, but like your eyes shift back and forth, and you go, facts are facts. Like, what the fuck?
I believe that I have any more tears left.
I don't think you had any to begin with.
It's been a hard year for me, Darrell Brooks.
For the families, mostly. Don't forget me, though. Mostly the family, but this guy right here, he suffered too.
Yeah, look at me.
Prison sucks. I had to make wine out of orange Fanta and bread.
That should not be lost on anyone.
Seriously, that's the thing. There are so many, and they always feel like, again, the pomp and circumstance, and like we're all elevated humans and have to subject ourselves to the science of law and order. But like when the dude rushes the court or the witness box or the wherever to get at the dude who touched his daughter or killed his wife or whatever, you go like, yeah, what if they... But like, that's the thing. There are some places where that shit can slide. Like if it were in a police station, that someone might get punched. But here in court, like, imagine what would happen. Like, we would be one of those joke countries where people pull their shoes off and throw them around in
right?
court. Like, as much as all of this is just sort of insane and conceptual or whatever, at least there's some sort of decorum where we're not just putting on airs and we're all just a bunch of, like, chimps throwing our various clothing items at each other.
And it shouldn't be taken away. I said it before and I'll say it again.
I'm innocent.
It's a lot of people that are healing.
I mean, jury nullification.
Attempting to heal.
They're healing. They're king of the healing. Bobby, get away from that Christmas parade.
That opens the door to talk about forgiveness for a little bit.
Yeah, this guy deserves it too. Like the way he's been acting. Like, here's the thing. If you go on a deep inner journey, you'll find that people will tell you to start forgiving those who have wronged you. None of these people I would believe would be on that journey at this very moment. So to be like, yeah, totally cool. High five, Darrell. Thanks for dragging my 69-year-old grandmother under the bumper of your car for 4,500 feet.
Yes, Allison, I think it was triggered because of a fight with his girlfriend.
Yeah, totally.
And Hamburger, he wouldn't have behaved this way had Wisconsin had the death penalty. Oh, yeah. I think Shabusiness would have probably acted up a little bit more, too, if...
But here's the thing, too. Like, maybe it holds... The palette of my life might be tinted incorrectly. But it just feels like if you know anything about true crime and death row, like how many states are actually executing people? How many people spend their life and die of old age on death row versus like getting put down?
Right.
But yeah, it does put the fear into a lot of people. However, like, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a deterrent.
No, because you can appeal God knows how many times. And so it just pushes it off farther and farther. Even if you had a date, that gets pushed out.
That's why I'm saying, like, there's no real justice. Because even if they, you know, one extreme to another, right? Where we're as, like, super, like, rehabilitative as possible. There's no such thing as jail, and everybody just sees therapists, and we all hope that it doesn't happen again and offer as much help as possible. Or, like, we go back to, like, if you steal a loaf of bread, you get your hand cut off, and everything above that, you get the guillotine.
Yeah.
It's always going to be somewhere in the middle, and I don't know if, like, because on one hand, you go, well, I don't want to keep such and such person alive on my tax dollars for the rest of their natural life inside of prison. I want them dead. And I go, but if, like, here's the thing, if you want biblical, like, that's the thing, if you're one of those people who goes, I want my pound of flesh, and you go, that is what I want, and it's the death penalty. I mean, living in prison sucks. Like, the death penalty, I'm sure, would add another possible layer of, like, eventually at the end of that line going like, whoa. But, like, just living in jail with a bunch of other dudes who are, like, all out trying to be the strongest or the fastest or get the most respect, or living off a commissary, like...
Well, it's crazy because we've watched the shows about the people that live on death row, and some of their cells are like super cushy and shit.
Well, and that's the thing too. If you go to one, because some people actually aim for death row because of you get your own cell and like you're protected essentially. But yeah, I get what you're saying, Camberter. Like if he, because he's stupid, if he saw that bauble at the end of this trail of death row, like the electric chair, I'm sure he would have shut the fuck up and taken the lawyer. But since he's like, well, the worst they can do is put me in jail forever, and then since I'm so smart, I'll just appeal.
Yeah.
With every healing process, there comes a forgiveness process.
Speaking from experience, Allison. Da-da.
It's not an easy thing for anyone.
Especially my victims. Not the victims. My victims. I'm Darrell Brooks.
Been hearing from
could you imagine if he, like...
Not to take any way.
I mean, he's in jail now, obviously, but could you imagine having this trial and being the pompous ass he is, and, like, people in the prison find out that some of their family members he ran over at this parade? Like, he'd get killed, like, immediately in jail.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like, whatever. And, yeah, that's the thing, too. Like, the death penalty here, it just feels like the royal family in the UK. Like, it's there. Some people think it still does something, but mostly it doesn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just it. Like, there's... It's not like if you go on YouTube or any other documentary repository and see like about the worst prisons, where some they don't tell you when it's coming. They may wake you up in the middle of the night one day or pull you out of the yard at 2 p.m., give you your last meal, and you're gonzo.
Right. Yeah. Allison says one of her hair clients works as a guard at a maximum security prison, and he says that pretty much every inmate has an Xbox as long as they're able to afford it. Yeah, like, what? There you go.
Right, and that's...
Enjoy.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't care about that, right? I don't care if they have creature comforts in jail, because it's still a stressful place. Mm-hmm. Your family's not there. You're away from me. I don't care if you have a fucking Xbox or whatever. I don't care if your family sends you a fucking PS5 and a chair that jerks you off, okay? I don't give a fuck. The point is, if we're going to agree that the people who are a menace to society and are dangerous need to be put somewhere, as long as they're there, I don't care what they're fucking doing, right?
Right.
I mean, personally, if you want your pound of flesh or you want them to suffer or whatever, that's you. But as long as at night there's the clang of steel against concrete and I get to go to bed knowing that those people are out of my hair, boom, I'm fine.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, thanks for listening while you're working.
Thanks for showing up and listening. I'm sure it's a real treat.
I hope you whistle while you work also.
Anything away from them.
He is a dwarf working in a mine.
But let's call it what it is. You've been hearing a lot of rerun. Same things over and over.
I ran
no
someone
different
over.
thing.
I ran another person over. I ran a third person over. Like, get the fuck over it, people.
When
Is
you turn on the
this
radio,
whole hour his closing argument? Wow, they gave him a
First hear
long
that
time
song,
because
yeah,
the
yeah.
judge at
First.
Ship Businesses gave prosecution 25 minutes and defense 20 or 30 and 25, something like that.
And a pocket pussy. That's King Cobra JFS, Allison. I think you know what's up. That's what's up. All right.
Lol cows.
I'm drinking a drink combo, not just for the pleasure.
first hear it, but they play it so much that eventually you start saying it, the words to yourself before you even realize it.
What are you fucking
And then
talking
you
about?
sit and you go, I hate that song. Why am I singing it?
Oh, you didn't hear about my $1 million idea about the chair that jerks you off at the end of the massage I was going to install in malls? That may be a little before your time, but it's $1 million idea. P.S. I would have to employ a butler, 1 per 6 chairs, to clean off the DNA evidence after every deposit. Plus, there'd be chair condoms. There's a whole lore.
It's a whole thing.
That's what's been happening. Rerun over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
You keep saying I kill people.
Attempting to make things stick in your head that simply aren't true.
Facts, if you will.
Why do I say? What am I saying?
Why do I say? What am I saying? I'm sad. I'm emotional. I got tears somewhere in my back pocket.
Oh, God. Don't even say it.
You know,
I hate that word too, Allison.
here's the thing. When you have a great idea, it doesn't just live on the hilarity alone. You have to think of the nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes and the mechanics. And someone, God willing, is going to deposit something in that chair condom. And I'm going to need a butler to take care of that.
My other one is
Sounds like
flaky,
an intestine.
Allison. I don't like that word either.
You know, the
you're
thing
a
from
scalp fan.
the prosecution here has been intent.
I mean, I don't want to say, here's the thing. You know what a colostomy bag is, I'm sure, where it has, the sticky part around that goes over your moved butthole. It would be like the condom, the chair condom that goes down, and then there would be, that ring that sticks onto the chair, especially, maybe not hard plastic, but something soft. So, because obviously you're going to get jerked off by it at the end of the massage. So then you can just, go, and then rub it down with some, Star San or whatever sanitary liquid. And then, throw the towel back onto your arm, slap another chair condom in, and go, next, feed your $5 into the, off you go. Dee no.
No, Dee Dee.
We all know what's been said. We all know the picture that's been painted.
The one where I'm a murderer, obviously.
Dee Dee butt's broken.
Blah, blah, blah.
Even the prosecution said themselves.
I'm guilty.
How can you look in somebody's head and say, this is what they intended to do?
See, here's the thing. They didn't need to. Everybody looked at your face, which is outside of your head.
Is he saying, okay, he hasn't really said much in the last 12
he
minutes.
Won't say much.
Is he defending the fact that he didn't do it, even though everybody knows he did it? Or is he defending...
If you, at the end of this, come up with an argument that he is making, I'll hear it.
So far, I've got nothing.
Yeah, me neither. And I've seen this before. Like, this is essentially an hour long from a giant whoopee cushion. Like, the world's fattest man fell out of an airplane onto the world's biggest whoopee cushion, and it went for a fucking hour. And I'd rather listen to that than Darrell Brooks.
Not intentional.
Definitely not intentional.
No malicious intent.
For a
no.
year, I've sat and gone through this. Feeling so powerless.
You should.
Letting other people run with the narratives.
Here's the thing, though, with the Sarah Boone thing. If there's no witness other than you and your camera phone recording your actions, you can say no malicious intent and unintentional and all that shit. But when, like, everybody in a Santa hat for a mile and a half sees your fucking mean mug, like, rolling over children.
Yeah.
Like, that's what billboards are for, right? You don't need to know what a billboard is thinking. It's there, plastered on the fucking front. Unintentional. Yeah. Frankenstein killing the little girl. Frankenstein's monster killing the little girl. Unintentional. Not so here.
Sitting back helpless while other people paint a picture that
I thought he said Sinbad helpless.
Sinbad.
has zero truth.
Oh, I know, right? The Ford
Zero.
recall, like the whole fucking... That's the thing. When nothing has worked this far... And at some point, you just have to realize you can't cook spaghetti, right? Like, after weeks and weeks of throwing strand after strand, handful after handful of spaghetti at the wall, and nothing sticking, and I'm sure him getting, at best, 12 people with blank and or horrified looks. What can you do? He's fucking stupid. So dissecting it is mostly pointless, but Jesus Christ.
I understand about healing
Hey, anytime you borrow a tactic from Leticia Stout, that's an okay in my book.
myself, tragedy, pain, all that. A lot of it, there's no need to get into.
Like what? The facts?
I myself in my own life have had to do a lot of healing.
Emotional, which is less
As a
painful
man
than
with
physical.
Children myself.
Typically. Yeah, the one you fucking, like, beat their mother in front of, like, that was cool. I got children myself. They see me lay 5 across my baby mama's eyes. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, no, that's a bad thing.
I find it hard to believe.
That
anyone who's really had conversations with me, spent time around me, would think for 1 second that this is an intentional act.
Like giving someone too strong of a high five at the top of a long flight of stairs. Yeah, unintentional. You know, like having a fun water fight with a sexy partner where you pull the knife block down onto them and something goes awry. That's all right, pushing credulity. But operating a piece of large machinery such as a car that requires higher brain function and multiple limb engagement is a very difficult thing to say was an unintentional act.
Yes.
Because you could buy Sarah Boone like unintentionally. Like I put him in there. That part was intentional. I unintentionally left him in there is what she hopefully was trying to spark between those two brain cells. Like I put him in there, but the fact I left him in there was unintentional. He's just like from soup to nuts. Like I did not intend to first strike my girlfriend dozens of times, hypothetically or allegedly. And then, like, I never hit a single person, but I imagine it would be a shocking and possibly traumatic experience. But then to do another half a dozen to a dozen after that, like, how slow is your processor?
Yeah.
Unintentional, like, the fuck, dude?
I've never heard of someone intentionally trying to hurt someone
What?
Really?
while attempting to blow their horn.
What?
Here's the thing. He was blowing his horn.
So that automatically
Maybe
frees
that's
him.
what we should be, you and I and the jury should have taken into a more of a meteor.
He wanted everybody to move out of the
Yeah,
way.
Like when I'm rolling through downtown Mesa and they've got a parade going, I never thought that just honking my horn could,
while flooring it,
could just dissolve the liability of me rolling over children because the horn.
There was a warning.
Yeah. I mean, look out, motherfucker. Sure, the street's closed for the holiday season and I see the crowds and I hear the music, but fuck you. This Ford Escape has got almost 200 horsepower. Stupid bitch.
While
I hate him. God.
attempting to alert people of their presence. Which brings me to more information that I believe that you should have been privy to.
Which is?
Privy. Jury nullification.
Not only was I honking, but I was flipping the bird at people, telling them to move.
And I'm sure that the prosecution will beg to differ. But the fact of the matter is, the vehicle in question,
Here we go, the recall.
make a model of 2010 Ford Escape. The
That's my
vehicle
car.
in question, actually 2008, 2009, and 2010 of that model was in fact recalled.
Objection, misstatement of the facts, facts not in evidence.
Was in
Improper
fact-
argument, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Was in fact recalled.
I mean, shut up, Darrell.
Yeah, that means stop talking.
I can't believe they let him go so far because they're like, by the time he gets to 2008, 2009, 2010, like, why isn't an objection happening? Or
Because
like, what the fuck?
he didn't officially say recall. He could have.
So annoying. Like,
They can't object to something they don't know the whole
I
statement
guess,
of.
but again, it just feels like it's my impatience as a civilian.
Yeah, we all know he was going to say that, but
Yeah, like, because in your real life, if someone was being this impertinent to you, you'd shut them down and or leave because it's not worth the time and energy.
the record has to
And here we have
show.
to go, oh my God, let the record reflect. Like, would it be fair to say that I'm a fucking moron?
Was in fact a class
Fair.
action lawsuit against Ford
Objection.
for those
facts
models,
not in evidence.
for
Facts,
those
not
model vehicles.
evidence.
This dude's shaking his head.
Information that you should have been privy to,
Move on. It's
but you
not.
weren't allowed to be privy to. Why? I don't know.
I'm not a lawyer. And also, I refused a lawyer. So
And I refuse
guess,
to listen to the rules.
yeah, so I guess that's my problem. I'm a fucking idiot.
That information, malfunctioning throttle bodies,
Mr. Brooks, move out.
it's information that you should have been privy to.
My foot was especially heavy that day due to the moon's
Vehicles that
gravitational pull.
malfunction and accelerate, not being able to be stopped.
Objection, that is.
It's
completely
information.
inaccurate,
It's
Your Honor.
information.
Are they going to kick him out of this room?
Go ahead.
They never do.
Just
I don't
strike
think so.
statements by
Sorry
Mr.
for the
Brooks.
interruption.
They are facts not in evidence, Your Honor, and it's a complete misstatement.
Sustained. Strike.
P.S. This was after all the witnesses and all the family, and he even cross-examined like the family members of the people he killed who saw his face, who saw his eyes, and he's pulling this shit.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Like if Cyrax were a murderer, whatever. I'm sorry, but locales and murders are so fucking close because what is it that takes delusion into something lethal? Who knows? When do they snap? Are they going to? What if? Blah, 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 blah. But it's the same behavior across the board.
How's it a misstatement when I have the information?
Mr. Brooks, move on.
This is information that
It's
They
not
should be
evidence,
privy
you
to.
stupid
I feel like you needed
bitch.
to know. You should have known.
Privy.
Information that was taken away from you.
I'm sad. Can't you see my emotions?
She said move on
Why?
86
Was it the
times.
case?
But that's the thing. Like,
They should have
I-
held him in contempt.
I get
something.
why they have to do certain things. Like she has to object. They have to do blah, blah, blah. Don't tell the jury this, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. But that just feels like set dressing as Darrell here, like, goes from novice to master craftsman of rope. And he makes enough, fashions a noose, and hangs himself. Mm-hmm. So part of you wants to go, this is frustrating. Fucking put a gag on him or a spit mask or move him and tell him to shut the fuck up. But on the other hand, you go, okay, objection, sustained, jury does this. Okay, boxes are ticked. Go ahead, Darrell. And he goes, yeah, and wheels off more rope.
Yeah. He's a piece of work, yeah.
Yeah.
Information that you definitely should have been privy to.
I cannot stand the word privy now because of him.
Cannot be privy to it. My privacy.
I never hear that word, and now I've heard it 1,800 times.
Like tickle. Right, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
You cannot do anything to Darrell but remove him from the room and do exactly what you did. That's one of the downsides of the system, right? Is most of the time we focus on the ones that are a lock or we're iffy on like whether or not they should have even gone through trial, right? And then there are the ones like Darrell here where it's like a foregone conclusion. Everybody knows, like, no matter how impartial the jury, he's going to jail.
Yeah.
But we never see this side of the spectrum, or not very often. There's another one out there. I forget the dude's name, but woof, when you're your own defendant, like, Jesus Christ.
Mm-mm.
DA says,
Okay, again, probably for the fifth time. Lol cow tactic. When Cyrax gets up on a panel with one of these other yahoos or these trolls or whatever, the mute button is such a powerful tool. And the fact that they were able to just abscond him away to a different part of the courthouse and be able to be like, got anything to say? And if he goes, my motherfucker, beep, done.
Yeah.
Moving on, like, you know, make your flashcards and shit like that, whip your shirt off. But, you know, the wheels of justice are going to grind you up despite all of your monkey shines.
the defendant has
Time out courtroom.
utter disregard for human life. Utter
Get to the corner.
disregard for human life.
This guy, me, I did that.
Not realizing that they're talking about someone that has children.
What the? Here's the thing. I did not think this argument held weight before I had kids, and now that I have a kid, I don't think I would ever pull this as a trump card to be like, hey man, I got a kid. Like, so what? I can prove I had sex at least once, and that resulted in spawn. Now, what am I going to use this information? Like, I didn't take an SUV in that music video, P.S., check out the album, and run over a bunch of people. I got a kid, or two, or many more. I don't know. It's impossible to tell. But the thing is, like, but it happens all the time. The Predators and TCAP used it. Darrell uses it. Everybody uses it. But, like, who gives a fuck?
Right.
I'm a father. What the fuck? Like, you killed children. They had fathers. So I guess we're square then, you bitch.
Talking about someone that watched their children come
Yeah, his
out
mom
of the
is a
womb and be
piece of
born
work
into
too.
this
Yeah,
world.
totally.
Cut them biblical.
Did she feel a little bit like Kanye's mom? Like a little bit like, I don't know. All these people's parents always come across as like, no, he was totally fine. He was a good boy and everything was perfect. It was just society had failed him. Jorge Torres Jr.'s mom, same thing. Like, it's sad to have a child die, but you fucking failed them, right? Like, how else do you put it? I don't know who else, because we can't go like, oh, society failed. Well, who fucking bumped uglies, escorted this kid out, and ostensibly signed the contract to raise them as part of society? Yeah. You! Society did not agree that you and this other person should create a spud. Oh, but society failed them. But society did not own your vagina.
Cool. Held them before their mom even did it. Moments that I'll never forget. And yet they say disregard, utter.
Oh my God. Like, how tone deaf? Like, not obviously, because Hamburger says she implored the court to have empathy for Darrell, then read a Maya Angelou poem. And like, as tone deaf as Darrell is the one way, she must have been the other. Because like, why would you walk in and be like, oh, the poet laureate, like grab the thing she wrote for Bill Clinton's inauguration, right? And then be like, find my son less than guilty. Fuck you. Like, that's the thing. Like, if my kid hypothetically grows up to be a murderer, I'll have to be like, yeah, like, sorry. Like, right? Like, I can't be like, here's a poem from Walt Whitman about snow. And I'll be like, sorry, son. Like, go easy on him, jury. Like, what?
She enabled him.
Totally.
Human life.
It's the problem with tone deaf people. You can go tone deaf one way or the other. Anyway.
They made reference to a rage. As if they were, or if this particular DA was right there, standing right there. As if this DA is a psychiatrist.
Standing there, when he says standing right there, I picture her standing as he assaults his girlfriend, not standing watching the car drive by.
I was assuming the parade.
Well, because the thing was, like, yeah, that's probably right. But to me, like, standing there watching it happen means, like, it just implies to me that there's a stationary action going. Like, she's not like, I don't know, in my head.
I say to myself, rage. What do you mean rage?
The dozen people you killed, you fucking idiot. Like,
how can you characterize that? How can you have the audacity?
I love their faces
Diagnosed
so much.
Where it's at, what it's thinking, why it thinks the way it does.
Here's the thing, guys. The why is not super important.
No.
Like, why is ethereal. Why will never be answered to any degree of certainty. Why do cats have whiskers? Why did Darrell Brooks get in his 2010 Ford Escape and mow down a bunch of people? Why does it matter? The fact of it is, cats have whiskers. They use them how they use them, and they're there because they're there. Darrell Brooks got in his car and ran over a bunch of people. Why? It doesn't fucking matter. A zillion people saw him fucking do it, pointed him out, said, you did it, I saw you. The why is moot. Like, the why is what we all, like, get all juiced up over. Because, like, oh, whoa, now we can start dissecting more criminals. Which, P.S., we know we don't do. We ignore red flags. We only see it after the fact. And then we go, boy, oh, boy, how did we not? Because we don't. We're too busy looking at people committing crimes that we're not thinking about the people gearing up to commit crimes. We're too busy jacking ourselves off going like, oh, well, since we learned so much about Ed Kemper, the why behind this guy, the why behind that guy, now we'll be able to stop jack fucking shit because there'll always be a next dude who thought of something you didn't. Yeah. So admit it to yourself. We'll never prevent anything. We just like getting juiced up over the fact that we can solve a case and get inside someone's head for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It doesn't matter. They're gone. Throw his ass in jail.
Yeah, it makes references to blocks of no one being injured, but then says it's intentional.
I imagine the blocks before the parade without all the people in them. No injuries reported. No casualties whatsoever. How do you explain that, prosecutor?
You add that up with the supposed rage.
Supposed. Alleged.
The supposed intent to harm and kill. And it doesn't
compute.
Doesn't kick in until well within blocks.
What does that even mean? It doesn't kick in until well within blocks.
His rage doesn't kick in until he's well past the blocks where there's nobody, and then all of a sudden his rage kicks in and there's people.
That is not how that was phrased.
No.
You can't break it down to human intellect by implication and inference. I refuse that.
You reject it, as he would say.
I reject it, reality and substitute my
Maybe
own.
it's just me, but I would think if
it's just you,
I was characterizing someone with this intent to kill and this rage and this anger.
Let me check my notes.
Then why weren't people immediately harmed? Why was someone with intent to kill and rage try to alert people of their presence, repeatedly honk their horn? You heard a detective.
Whatever, like it's like the logistics, right? If he's saying, why would I do that if I was honking my horn? Why would you drive through a parade? Right? No intent. You're piloting a car.
Here's the thing, and I know every time I feel like I try and play devil's advocate somehow with these people, what if he's driving down the road, then if there truly was a recall and something truly happened to his car,
didn't. But
if it did, he wouldn't be able to go anywhere. He wouldn't be able to stop. So if he's on the main road, say, and there's nothing on the block, like there's blocks of nothing because the parade isn't there, and then the parade is there and he can't do anything.
Okay, so here's the thing. That's one of the details that's how do you recreate reality and regurgitate it to someone after the fact? I am sure he worked his ankle multiple times and people could hear the revving of the engine as he rolled over people and had to turn and slow down. When your throttle is stuck wide open, it's a very distinctive sound that will see zero oscillation because it is stuck open. The fact that the engine sound, like the revving, the pitch rose and fell, hello? Like, what technical glitch, what mechanical fault is going to actually work the lever, the accelerator of your car as if by magic?
Yeah. Hamburger Helper says his aim was to get put in a cushy mental hospital with minimum security where he'd miraculously be rehabilitated.
Right. We've talked about that before. P.S. It never fucking works. Don't do it. The only way you're going to make it into a mental institution is if you're actually insane, and then you'll be there forever. And P.S. If you do get into a mental institution and you're sane, you're going to have a fucking terrible time. And then once they find you sane, they'll probably put you in prison.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what movie or TV show got into the ass of every average American that was like, hey, if you pretend you're crazy, you'll wear a nice white suit, eat some pie, and then 6 months of therapy, you'll get to kill again. No!
Yeah, no.
If you recall.
Right,
yes,
they're not cushy.
Yes, also because sometimes sometimes the system just spits you back out no matter where you go.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the God Knows Where I Am movie, documentary, whatever, about the true story about the lady that they kicked out of the mental institution and she roamed and lived in a abandoned house and died because she starved to death.
There's a documentary out there called The Right to Fail, where it's based on this guy's life where he is just refusing help.
Yeah.
But he has some sort of psychosis and or schizophrenia or whatever, but he just wants to live on the street and just be left the fuck alone. He wants to be afforded the right to fail.
Yeah. This woman, from what I remember, she was schizophrenic and she wasn't compliant with her meds. So instead of letting family know anything, they just kicked her to the curb.
Well, yeah, but regardless.
It's crazy.
Moral of the story is being legally insane is one thing because you're going to have to prove that you had lost your senses momentarily. Crimes of passion, stuff like that. But then to stand up here and be like, I'm totally fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Testify that.
P.S. I should probably recommend this more, but there is a book out there called 10 Days in a Madhouse. It was written in like 1913 or 1930-ish, somewhere in there, by Nellie Bly. I have an audiobook of it. I've listened to it a dozen times or more. But like that's the kind of shit you're probably going to get even today. 10 Days in a Madhouse, where she spends 10 days at a woman's insane asylum on Blackwell Island or whatever. And it is just a fucking nightmare because, let's say best case scenario, they do think you're crazy. Way to go. You're going to a sanatorium or insane asylum or whatever they want to call it.
You become
nowadays.
a zombie with all the meds that you're on.
Yeah, they're going to med you up, or you're going to be surrounded by people who don't want to listen to you because you've been labeled insane.
You're restrained.
I can't imagine. Imagine the control freak that is Darrell Brooks in a situation where no one even wants to entertain any of his shit.
No, and remember back in the day,
they're forced to here.
Yeah, back in the day, they did medical experiments on these people, the lobotomies and shit.
They feed them bad food and just let them go nuts.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
But if he was harmful to society, then they can't just be out there in the world failing. There's been a recent surge of mentally ill people in the subways.
Right. And that's the thing. So what do we do as a society, right? If these people, we have this ethical or moral sticking point where if someone refuses medication or help or whatever, we go, well, you can't just be, you have to conform. In some way, shape, or form, you have to take meds and just not be a nuisance. Your right to be a nuisance, however small, is more important to most people than your personal happiness or choice.
Well, not even just a nuisance, but you don't know.
Well, yeah, because but that's just going to be the nature of the beast. If the guy in the documentary, if he wants to scrape by panhandling or doing whatever, and he's not committing crimes. I'm not saying that everybody's going to be a drain in society, but when they do go, homeless people's bodies are found. And they got to do something with. There's always going to be that part of society that we just have to pick up slack for.
Right.
And it sucks, but when we say freedom ain't free, we talk about rights and all that bullshit. If someone legitimately wants to just be a crazy homeless person, despite the offering of help or services or yada yada, what do you do?
Right, and that's Hamburger says, some of them are scary and menacing, several have attacked people, and a couple have shoved people onto the tracks.
Right, if that's the thing, if they're criminals, then put them away. But if someone wants to fail, that's the thing. That's muddying the waters a little bit. Being a failure in society doesn't mean you're a criminal. Right. But if you are both, then get the fuck out of here. But you should be allowed to fail.
Yeah. Yeah. And in this case, we've talked about this stuff before about the vulnerable societies and stuff like that, like prostitutes and homeless people and stuff. And in this case, these people that are, assaulting people on the subway, those could be just like the cops know their names and they just take them in. Nobody presses charges. They're put back on the street
and
again.
We talked about this before. The nuisance who eventually, that's the thing. It's like we have to, if they are a vessel, right, an empty vessel, and every time they have an interaction, it fills a little more with water, sand, or whatever. Well, eventually, like critical mass and something goes haywire. But we're a society that says we cannot punish you until you do something heinous. Being a constant low background hum nuisance doesn't get you put away for life until you kill someone. But what do we do?
Right.
Do we say, you're probably going to kill someone, so go away forever?
Right. And
we're probably
100%.
not cool with that.
Yeah, those who want to fail may not know their degree of illness. Absolutely.
But then how do you... How do you say you know better, right?
Yeah.
They say, I want this. And you go, no, I think you should. It's a slippery slope.
Same with people with like Alzheimer's.
I'd rather have people, regardless of their situation, get what they want if it doesn't hurt anybody other than them. Because living a life that is not yours, I can't imagine that. That's the silent scream.
He observed was not only honking his horn, but was not speeding. So where does this rage kick in?
Shut up about the
Where does this insatiable intent to kill kick in?
Well, no matter how fast you're going, if you run somebody over, you're running somebody over. Speed limit was probably 45.
There was a parade. It was closed. There was no speed limit.
No. Years.
Speed limit is walking. What is he looking at?
Which brings
his
me back to
notes.
the vehicle.
No, he has the 5 questions. He's not looking at those.
What if
Objection.
the driver of the vehicle was unable to stop the vehicle?
What if?
The recall.
That's you, dickhead.
Because of that fact, what if the driver may have panicked?
That's what the e-brake is for.
Dozens of people. Panic, slowly escalating. 1 corpse, 2 corpses, 3 corpses. A little more panic with each dead body. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Like, the fact that there isn't mob justice today blows my mind. When shit like this hits the airwaves and you know that the family was there, the fact that public lynchings don't happen and like whole communities aren't shamed for it is unbelievable. Because given the average human temperament is one thing, but make them a victim of a violent and tragic crime, holy shit.
Yeah.
Humans have more going for them than they let on.
Does that make the driver a crazed, or not crazed, a rage? Does that make the driver in a rage and intent on killing people?
Did y'all forget about the weeks of evidence you saw? I hope so. Because I wasn't enraged. I wasn't crazed either.
DA played exhibit 17.
My music video. It was banger, right?
You don't see anyone struck in that vehicle.
Second only to street racing scene.
On that exhibit, you don't see anyone struck. Was someone who had this intent to kill, this rage, as she says. If that was their intent, wouldn't they have taken the opportunity to hit as many people as they could?
No, you probably hit a few, realize hundreds of people saw your face, and then
Oh shit.
Target people, mow down people.
He did those, yeah.
Reference was made.
Just imagine, like, just for a second, like you're driving, and you look away for a second, and you turn back, and there's a person in front of your car, and you see them go, whoa, and mow them down. Like, it was a complete accident. It probably is an imaginary...
like Gothica.
Or the Bye Bye Man, another classic. But just like, I can't imagine accidentally bumping someone with my car. Like the amount of just like shock and horror and like, what?
I hit a squirrel and it traumatized me.
Oh yeah, we'll hit animals and like those.
I can't imagine hitting a person.
Just like person after person after person, and like that's what us normies, if you want to call us, always wonder about in this situation.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned this last week, but the lady who shot the other woman in her car, you know, the cops will bring up like, you know, buddies of mine, other cops, they had to shoot someone in self-defense and they were fucking wrecked afterwards, or whatever, and they got stabbed, they had to shoot, blah, blah, blah. Like, people coming away with PTSD after one violent encounter.
Yeah.
And then they go, okay.
Look at all the, you know, the shit that police officers have to go through. Well, this is like SVU. When Elliot Stabler shoots that police officer in the yard and he's like traumatized, they take his gun, he has to go see therapy.
He made me do it. Yeah. But that's fake. But more or less,
I know, but
it's based on real life events where, like people, if you're whatever the quality is, a traumatic event like that happens, it'll affect you. Whereas, like, you know, if you shoot one person in a enclosed vehicle, and later you can be like, oh yeah, I was going to Starbucks, that's one thing. But to like, because each mode that people use has different levels of closeness, I want to call it. Like if you use a gun versus a knife versus antifreeze versus a car versus a rope, whatever, right?
Yeah, there's some things that are more intimate, like a knife.
Yeah, a knife. But like a car feels like a more intimate weapon than a gun. Because I only say that for this reason. Mostly with like handheld weapons or whatever, if you're, maybe this is my martial arts training or whatever, you have a connection to the weapon you're holding. So when you're striking someone or cutting someone, that weapon is an extension of your body.
Right, and the gun just shoots something that's not.
Yeah, when you fire, it goes boom. Your hand feels a little jolt, but you don't really have cognition of that bullet hitting or what it's like because there's no physical
and there's
feedback.
No real, I mean, there's control over the aim, but not exactly where it's going to go.
Pow, 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 and like the sound is loud and the shock of the gun is brisk.
Right.
But it's still like it feels no different pulling the trigger at someone than at a target,
right,
except mentally.
But in a car, your foot is on the gas pedal.
Like hitting someone with a stick or stabbing someone, you get like an arm, you get a little bit of full body, but hitting people with your car is going to affect your entire viscera.
Yeah. Hamburger says, to this day, she remembers hitting the chipmunk she accidentally ran over and felt guilty. Yeah, I'm from Connecticut, so we had squirrels are rampant, obviously.
Dogs happen out here all the time, so I've learned to cope with that. But every time I hit a quail, that's a money bird.
Those are rough. She said the first woman he hit, she landed on the hood of his car and he kept going. Then braked to get her off of his car.
Right.
Then ran her over while speeding away. This testimony from a witness was horrific.
Like it's the fucking creep show. Thanks for the ride.
Yeah.
Shit. Like what the fuck?
Oh no, she hit the chipmunk in Connecticut.
This vehicle.
There's a lot of squirrels in Connecticut. You got to be careful.
There are. And chipmunks.
Damage.
I saw, not that this has anything to do with this, but okay, so crackpot theory that probably is real. In Arizona, we had the grasshopper apocalypse.
Yes.
So a bunch of grasshoppers. So I, being a clever boy who recognizes patterns, goes, oh, this is going to rocket up the food chain. Mm-hmm. Because every time there's a bloom low on the food chain, it boosts everything above it. So I was like, okay, grasshoppers are everywhere. Animals are going to chow down, and we're going to see a lot more roadkill. Anecdotally, I've seen a lot more roadkill to the point where, like, I have never seen a dead deer in my life in the valley. I didn't think deer existed down here below, 8,000 feet. Today, a dead deer on the side of the road, along with all the coyotes and javelina and shit. But the fact that, and I knew it was going to happen because the grasshoppers bloomed. The birds and the marmosets and the rats and everything that eats them out of here chowed down. Their predators chowed down on them, and they fucked like crazy. And now we got a bunch of them littering the highways because, hello?
Right. Wow.
Says this was all caused by bodies, but then later turns around and says hits barricades and other objects.
So what was it?
About
you can't hit both with a car, can you?
Impossible, right?
Once you hit a barricade, bodies are off limits and vice versa. I rest my case. I'm Darrell Brooks.
Loud crashes and things of that nature, but DA wants you to believe that this all came from people.
What?
Cool.
So cool.
Evidence doesn't support
Came from
that.
people like you and me.
These bitches are like, yeah, we got this shit in the bag. Like, this is dumb.
Oh my God.
So I go back to trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened in the last year.
The murder, my jail, the court, me taking my shirt off, embarrassing myself in front of you, the jury, who literally holds my life in your hands. Remember when I took my shirt off and I basically just called the judge a bitch to her face? Please forget about that.
I got put in timeout and muted a whole bunch of times.
I got put in courtroom timeout.
Praying for the people that tragically lost their life, because
that
should not be lost either.
That's why we're here. Fuck! That is why we're here. We're not forgetting that. We're trying to get what we perceive as the perverted notion of justice is through our legal system. You got to kill a bunch of our community members, and we have to sit through you ranting and raving and having a tantrum week after week. That's what we get. That's the due process.
We deserve it.
Fuck.
That there was lives lost, and all the emphasis has been put on the alleged defendant.
Because he murdered them.
And the people have been disregarded.
Yeah, here's the thing about Jack the Ripper. His victims are super interesting, but it's Jack the Ripper. Hello? Catherine Eddowes, like Mary Kelly, like all those people, sure. Boy, does it suck that they were murdered. But the thing is, we were looking for their killer. That's the point of court, Darrell. It's not like hanging out and talking about how cool the victims of your murders were.
Makes me wonder,
Why?
Why, Steve?
does the DA even care about those people?
Was the hair there? Yeah.
They're there for the victims.
Shouldn't she be delivering cupcakes to their family instead of prosecuting me for their murder?
I hate him so much.
I'm a sovereign citizen. This is nothing.
I'm
This is
sure.
Nothing compared to his wildest outbreaks.
The arms crossed.
Yeah, she is
There's been prayers going up every day.
going up to God up there, depending on where you are on the earth, because up is subjective.
I can't pour one out because I'm in jail. So
Been suffering on
He pours out some total wine.
both sides. It's been threats, hate mail.
No. To you?
Because of the narratives that's been put out there. The
Photos of me, the evidence against me. You know.
misconceptions that have been put out there. The lies that have been put out there.
I would say perceptions over conceptions, but that's just
Lies that have
lawyer.
caused my children not to be able to go to school.
What?
To be bullied.
that sucks.
For my mother
If
to
his kids are being bullied because of this, which I could see happening, because
How does it not? Like, that's the thing. In the internet age, Sarah Boone has a point. She's as meta as they come.
Yeah.
Like, Lucas is probably
not going to school
at the Best case scenario, he can sell his autograph for 50 cents to get some shit off the ice cream truck at the end of the day. Worst case, like, his mom's a fucking murderer. But I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't get most bullies or why they do the things they do. So when I put myself in that situation where I go, okay, I'm back being 11 and someone I know their mom's a murderer, what would I do? And I go, nothing. Like, I had pogs and shit to play with. Like, what the fuck?
Better things to do.
Have to leave her home and stay at a
real
hotel
life troll.
because she's afraid for her safety. Because she gets hate mail shoved through her mailbox.
I wonder why.
My nieces and nephews to fear for their safety.
You can't stop trolls. Trolls have a scorched earth policy. And trolls predate the internet. They've been around for as long as the printed media has been there to disseminate information, and people have been there to fuck with other people.
Yeah.
Like, that's part of it that will never get weighed, though, too. Like, it's not just the victims' lives that are destroyed. Everybody he's ever known is going to take shit for this in some way, form, or fashion.
Yeah. Hold that pose a little longer, Darrell.
So, anyway, what was
Are
I
you
talking
done
about?
with your closing argument, sir?
And what's been equally hard it's not only
Take your time.
having to answer the questions from my daughter, who was 7 at the time, my baby girl, who was 7 at the time.
She couldn't stop me from murdering all those people, so there's that.
Attempting to answer her questions that she's asking, and still continue to shield her from what she sees.
Hamburger doesn't believe that stuff's happened to his family. Cares about his family members only if it's convenient to his defense.
Right, I guarantee not. Here's the thing. I know I was like, oh, trolls are going to troll, but here's the thing. They only, as morally bankrupt as most trolls are, they're only going to troll people they see that deserve it. So the people in Darrell's life who enabled him, sure. They're not going to troll his kids or his abuse victims or anything like that.
Right.
I could see him getting shit, his mom getting shit, his whatever, brothers, nieces, nephews, whatever. I see that. But, like, not that it won't happen or can't happen or whatever. But by and large, the victims, you know, they get shit in their Cash App. They don't get death threats.
Right.
What she hears. Having a newborn son that I haven't even been able to meet.
Your own fault.
You killed so many people's kids. Like, let's say Bizarro World, right? And I'm a child murderer. I don't know if I'd be like, think of my son. Think of how he'll grow up. Don't think about the 20 children that are in shallow graves all across, you know, lower Rhode Island. Think about my son. Here's the thing. There are some times when who you are or what you are can trump a lot of bullshit. Mm-hmm. Huge example. Werner von Braun. He was a Nazi scientist that America conscripted to make rockets for us. So we were able to go, okay, huge black mark on the resume. However, you're a real smart guy. So they look the other way and they go, great, we have rockets and we'll get to space first. What does Darrell have? Right? I mean,
Beating his
SUV's in the
pregnant-
body shop, so that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like, whatever. Like there are some low impact scenarios where you can go like, I'm a father, or I'm a mother, or this or that. But it's like, no, you're right, Hamburger. If you did kill a bunch of people, your brain isn't working right. I'm just saying from the perspective of someone whose cognitive ability is somewhere in the median range. I would expect this. Now, of course, Darrell, Stiven, Brent, Kent, any of the people we've covered aren't going to do these things. And I mean, if they did, they wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a show.
True.
Haven't been able to hold, touch, kiss.
Do you think Darrell ever wastes a load?
Which means he beat his girlfriend while she was pregnant also.
Yeah. Whatever.
Having to navigate everything that comes with.
If we ever get to Cassandra's Blanc, he killed his 6-month pregnant wife.
Yeah.
And rolled her ass out to the garbage on a hand truck. That he was like, oh my God, that interrogation footage.
This
I can't
whole
get into it.
situation. While still attempting to wrap my head around it.
How are you not wrapped around it by now? You did it, and you've had months to prepare for this very case.
I can't honestly say how many times I've sat in my cell.
My seal, my window seal.
Especially during lights out, alone, where it's just you.
And
just been praying and asking myself, how could this happen?
It doesn't matter, right? Like,
no.
How is... I mean, the how is a mechanical question. Of the 5 W's, what, where, why, how, and when, why is the least important? Because after the fact, it doesn't matter. It's happened, right? Like when Lake Nyos, the lake in Africa on top of the volcano, like it builds up CO2, and there was that huge CO2 release after this big rainfall that killed thousands of people and tens of thousands of animals. And they go, well, how could you? I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
Not just for the people. But for everybody involved, the community too. How could this happen? How?
You did it. The why, how is you put your foot to the pedal of an SUV and ran over a bunch of people. We know the how. It's mechanical. It doesn't matter. It happened. Like if you were to drop a glass, right, and it shatters over the floor, and say, why'd you do that? Whether you did it with malicious intent or your hands were covered in butter because you were just juggling butter balls, and it was an accident, is moot, right? The glass is broken. Let's move on. We can just deal with the reality we are in. The why, though it may appease us intellectually, means nothing. Because the how, the when, the where, that's all in cement.
This lady with her cough, man.
Someone needs some Ricola in that fucking courtroom.
The hardest questions you can ask is those that don't have an answer.
Hardest, I ask myself questions all the time. I hate that. I hate ask over ask. It's not hard.
No matter how much thinking you do, no matter how much you try to
This judge.
look at it from different perspectives and listen to other outside perspectives and listen to people that you trust and that
No matter how many people tell me I'm a murderer, I don't believe them.
Still coming up with nothing.
Like there are some, like, sorry, lol cows, but King Cobra JFS is sometimes, it's debated that he's like a secret genius.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some of the strategies that Darrell uses that might be like secret genius, but since it blows up so bad, like all of those arguments are out. Like he's not a King Cobra where he goes, oh, I'm $184.37 in the negative. And within 14 minutes, the pay pigs have paid that and beyond. Mm-hmm. He has enough to get fucking trashed and then he kills the stream.
Yep. I
besides being a lolcow, I don't know what else to say about Darrell Brooks. He needed a YouTube channel over an SUV.
One question I never had to ask was if this was intentional. That's something that I never asked once.
Put this coughing lady in contempt, goddammit.
Coughing lady, get the fuck out of here. But P.S., why did you have to ask yourself that? Like, you knew. I never had to ask myself, was this intentional? Like, where was I when this happened?
Because I know it wasn't.
I never asked that.
As a matter of fact, it never even crossed my mind to even attempt to ask myself that because I know it wasn't.
Because you knew it. You knew you fucking ran over those people intentionally.
Why didn't he?
Here's the thing. Okay, finish your question.
Write his closing argument down.
He doesn't have one. He's making it on the fly. He's a piece of shit. The end. But, case in point, and maybe this is anecdotal, means nothing to you, but it means something to me. Remember when the Priuses, like they had brake failures and ignition problems or starting or braking problems, and people were getting injured and or killed. Mm-hmm. Typically one.
Correct.
I can't say this for sure because I can't say anything for sure, but I'm willing to stake my reputation that a malfunction of the gas pedal results in at most 3 deaths. Like, let's say, like your dad, your uncle, and his brother were hanging out in front of the garage, and like your Prius broke to life and killed them. How many more people are going to get in front of that Prius? Darrell is the only one to be like, yeah, a manufacturer error claimed the lives of over a dozen people, and it wasn't a fucking plane crash.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it wasn't a bus full of people.
He's a kid that just wings the book report presentation without having read the book.
Right. I've been there, so I feel that. But if my balls were on the chopping block as a consequence, I would fucking read and write this report.
Yeah.
During this trial probably doesn't show. Maybe hard to believe.
Oh, the recall had to do with not speeding up? That's the thing. See, since Darrell is so stupid, he doesn't know that, so I wouldn't have brought that up personally. Because,
well, he said he wasn't speeding.
Right, but that... You can't say, like, I was rolling slowly, like I was... don't get me wrong, Your Honor, the pedal was to the metal, but I could only murder people at 27 miles an hour? Not a good look. I mean, not that this is a good look, but not a better look.
But trust me when I say no one.
Trust me. That's a fucking lolcow thing. Cyrax says that. Believe me when I say. Trust me when I say.
I hate Cyrax so much.
When anybody says believe me or trust me, you know you don't have to believe them because it's a lie.
The car was checked out very thoroughly by inspectors. Nothing was wrong with it. Just one tire had a little less air than the others.
Right, and no shit because no shit. Right, like let's say in the future when we have AI controlled cars that, you know, whatever, someone could possibly hack into or a computer bug makes it repeatedly slam into someone, then you go mechanical malfunction. But by and large, at this point, if there isn't a human behind the wheel, it can't kill anybody. Mm-hmm. It's the beauty about them. You know who kill people because they're sitting in the driver's seat.
To go through this, no one's heart is more in pieces than mine.
Bullshit.
Mm-hmm. You look so broken up, Darrell.
Fucker. Real quick, Cyrax also says he can't cry anymore because he's cried so many tears they won't come out. I think Darrell was like that. He goes, you know what? I'm so sad and I cry myself so much. No tears.
He said he doesn't have any tears left.
No,
earlier.
I'm saying it's a locale thing. I got no tears for you because I did them all off camera.
I hate him.
7 years, Marty. 7 years.
So again, I go back to all these exhibits.
Exhibits. He pimped my ride once.
Oh, snap. I used to watch that.
Go back to everything that's been shown.
The evidence.
Testified to.
Pictures of me.
The
DNA,
implications.
the witness statements. The verification of my identification.
The coughing lady in the background.
The lady fucking coughing. She got the black lung pop. You saw my music video. Please pick up the album.
Everything you've heard
Huh.
during this whole process, this trial.
My shirtless body on that monitor over there. Objection written on an
Again,
envelope.
I'll say the same thing that I said earlier. Same thing I said in opening statements.
Not guilty. By reason of ill rap skills. I'm going to drop 16 bars on
Not
you real
reading
quick.
from any paper, books.
Show me the state of Wisconsin and I'll tell that bitch I'm innocent.
Everything you've heard in opening statements, everything you're hearing now is from right here.
My tie, essentially.
My really big shirt.
Everything.
My dad's shirt. It's coming from this Dockers button up, extra large. Including the 45-second gaps in speaking, Darrell. Like, presumably when you're speaking for 30 seconds and there's a minute and a half of you looking down at presumably nothing, that's also from the heart?
Yep.
Just
All of
stop
it.
beating in that moment?
The whole thing. He just holds his breath. Oh my God.
You have the decision.
Good job!
You and you alone.
Blech.
All of you. You have the decision.
Christ! Nullify this case. Nullify. Joint nullification. Baba Booey, Harrison's penis.
Recall,
Like, God
recall.
damn it. Like, we're 33 minutes into 54 minutes, and spoiler alert, we're probably not going to
We
get through
can't.
all of this bullshit.
We can't.
I wish if I had the technical skills, what I would have done is taken this video, chopped out all the silences, and been like, hey, guess what? I chopped out 47 minutes of silence, and we're going to have a 15-minute video to watch.
You should have had me do that, and
I'm
I
not
could
that-
have.
Well, whatever. Moral of the story is the car was checked. No problems.
Taking a lot of notes during this process.
So many notes.
My lawyer's notes, I should say.
Someone did that. I'm sure somebody
Some
did.
days
I
are
guarantee.
harder than others.
Because who wants to hear silence?
A lot of movement in
Nope, can't pull the band who sang the sound of silence.
and out of the courtroom
Disturbed covered it.
for various reasons.
It's just, I'm so sad.
From my heart. It's coming from my heart.
My kids. The kid I haven't seen since I've been in jail for the murders. Alleged.
Remember the power that you have.
To nullify the ratification of the Constitution.
Don't for 1 second let it be taken away
You
from
have the
you.
power.
Oh, speaking of, when you say someone did that, where they moved all the silencers or the brakes, my absolute favorite type of video was when someone edits out everything but, so it's nothing but like 8 minutes of inhalation or exhalation. Not to bring up Cyrax again, but this is a good one of him.
It's like Banjo
I'm
Kazooie.
done. Oh my God, say something.
I can never understand the position of
Law.
sitting on the jury in something of this magnitude. So I'm sure there's a lot of pressure.
I'm sure they already know their decision.
Oh, man. You know when you've started down a thing, talking to someone, you realize you've lost the thread, but you keep talking and you hope that you can find something to button up what you're saying before the person completely falls asleep into a heap at your feet? Darrell doesn't know what that feels like. So he just goes and goes and goes. And since it's protocol, we just have to sit and go, okay, what else, Darrell? Anything else? And he goes, actually, 45 minutes.
I pray that the right decision is made.
Guilty. It was. It was right.
Yeah.
The right decision was made.
6 life sentences.
The right decision.
762.5 years in jail.
Like a longer sentence than Daniel Holtzclaw, and he got a cartoonishly large sentence.
Well, not only this 6 life sentences, then he also got put to trial for beating his wife or girlfriend, and then also for shooting at his nephew and uncle or whatever.
Here's the thing.
I don't know what those ended up at, because they might be too
I like
new.
this tactic because why not save the money unless it becomes a necessity? So like with Darrell here, we've seen an SVU and every other fucking police drama where there's a big crime, murder, something, they go away for a long time. And they go, well, what if they get early? And they go, don't worry, we got this crime and this crime and this crime that all have different levels of statute of limitations or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they go, if he gets out, then we'll do this.
Well, yeah.
But the then should only happen if the then is, then they get out, if they get out, then we'll prosecute this and keep them in. But when they're in already to be like, and then this, that's money wasted because hypothetically the 6 life sentences would be enough and the 2 cases further.
Well, yeah, and I think for all we know, those 2 cases could just be so that those victims could get some kind of compensation.
But they're not getting compensation in any way other than like recognition. That's the problem with our justice system. Is like, the crime is committed, the victims have to live with it forever, be it burglary, murder, domestic violence, whatever. And we go, okay, so hypothetically, this victim has to live with, and or their family, if they're a murder victim, has to live with this forever. What's a good punishment for you who gets to keep living and hypothetically make something of themselves?
Right. Yeah, Hamburger says, I think he placed no contest for the shooting of his nephew. He was like, oh, that was a bad part of my life.
Because when you have 6 life sentences, whatever, but like, it just still, the motions, even pleading not guilty, that probably cost tens of thousands of dollars against a man. And I'm sure that felt good for the girlfriend who was run over. But he was in prison for 640 million years.
Oh, yeah. The next one is the girlfriend one. That's one where he might represent himself because he wants nothing to hold his control over her.
Right. So that's the thing.
Can you imagine being testified by your abusive boyfriend?
No, that happens. There's another case we may carry or cover. But offering him this opportunity is just another lick at that brass ring of illusory power. Mm-hmm. Because if she goes, oh, he's in there, he already pled guilty or no contest at the second case, what am I doing here? It's a double-edged sword because if some asshole like Darrell or any of these dudes decide to be their own lawyer and get to question their own victims and basically re-victimize the people, like, that's sanctioned abuse under the guise of like evidence.
Yeah.
You can say like, yeah, it's part of the process. But when what's his nuts who killed, the mom of the dude, the kid, and then also injured the kid grievously, needs to then act as their own lawyer and question their kid who they tried to kill. Like, that's fucked.
Yeah. No.
It's almost like that message
How'd you like to come out of jail and re-victimize some people? Because they
We're in our vehicles
want to.
and it got that rearview mirror and it said things are closer than they appear. But it's
People
also
on your
another
hood
way
are
of
closer
saying
than they appear, too, I'll
sometimes
tell you
things
that.
aren't as they appear.
Pizza for...
I can't speak for anyone else, but me, myself, I believe in Jesus Christ.
What would Jesus do? He'd probably run his SUV through a Christmas parade.
Let Jesus take the wheel, man.
Yeah, it's Christ's Mass. So it's a Christ massacre. That's what Jesus would do. He would kill his disciples.
The end.
Jesus hated people.
Not guilty.
That's how I was raised. That's what I believe in.
Fucking... If I could think of an argument that holds less weight than I'm a father/mother, it's I'm a Christian, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Sikh, I'm a Jew. It doesn't matter.
I'm an ex-religion person.
I believe in Jesus Christ, hypothetically. You know what? I don't know where he was the day I murdered all those people, but fuck, dude. Prosecute his ass. I believe in Jesus Christ. Like, again, this is after all of the testimony of the victims and their family and the survivors and like months of physical therapy to be like, you know what? JC's got me covered. That's why people hate religion. That's why we have angry atheist fucks all over Reddit and with podcasts and shit.
Yeah.
Because murderers get to go, well, JC's got me covered. You know, whatever. This isn't lamb's blood above your door during Passover. This is the blood of children during a Christmas parade, you piece of shit. Fuck. Very inappropriate car analogies.
None of us are perfect.
But me, I'm pretty good.
But I try every day to make sure that
My horn is honked.
I acknowledge him. That's why every time I step in this courtroom,
I tell the judge she's a bitch. I ask what jurisdiction she has. I ask what law she is pulling
I
from.
reject anything she says.
Anything out of her mouth, I go, what the fuck, bitch, and fuck you for saying that shit. But then I go, thank you, Jesus, for being such a great dude. And also, fuck this bitch. She's a lady.
I have my Bible with me everywhere I go. I even read it
Confirmation, it was a Bible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
on breaks, recesses. This is not something that started.
You can tell a prop Bible, not only, even if it doesn't have like the permanent marker on the side, it'll be soft cover and like what he just lifted. It's
Not
like
that leather bound.
It's a picture of like a beach and some seagulls. Because since the Bible is public domain with a lot of other stuff, you'll find that you can really phone in the product. Welcome back, Matt.
Beginning of this incident,
Here we
this
go
is
with the
something
prop
that
Bible.
It's been instilled in me since I came out of the womb.
No, it wasn't.
This is how my family lives their life. This is how we was
Yikes.
raised.
But here's the thing. You need to have a certain psychology or mentality to want to get into law enforcement, right? Because you see yourself as holier than or more lawful than thou. So you say people need to enforce the law. And so that's where you get policemen, lawyers, judges, and etc. Because you go, there's always going to be a sect of society that sucks, and I think I've got the right stuff to get it back on track. That's not a, I don't know. Like I get, on paper, it's like communism. It makes sense because you go, whoa, you want things to be better. But then the subtext is as you see them. Like if you're a hanging judge, you got to be a hanging judge because you get to interpret the law and the people you hang. That's why, I don't know, it's more art than science, and that's where this shouldn't be, right? Like there shouldn't be a there shouldn't be the concept of a hanging judge. There's an SVU episode where I forget his name, but he's like a corrupt judge and he lets all the white people go, but everybody of any other ethnicity like takes a bribe and they get sent somewhere, and you all know how corruption works. I mean, moral of the story is to want to have control over somebody. I don't think that starts from a healthy place, right? Because if you're the type of person who goes, I need to make sure that people behave, like, why? Why you is what I'm getting at. Yep, got a fake booger. Wipe that away. He's got the driest face I've ever seen.
Mistakes that I myself have made in my life, I've made peace with God.
Great, right? Cool.
Peace.
People are always telling the Christian God in court, though, right? They always say, I believe in God, and he's up there doing this. No one ever touts like God is everything or God is in everybody. I'm sure it happens in India or something, but like if you were to take God as the concept of a super universal conscious that permeates every living and non-living entity, you can go, well, I was only doing God's will, but no one wants to say that. They want to say after the fact, like, I realized that murdering a bunch of people in my car was bad and God told me so. But no one's going to be like, well, I was, Hanuman or Ganesha or Krishna or Baal or whoever you want to, like, no one's going to be like, well, they told me to, and I was doing God's will because I am a facet of God. We're all, just different aspects of the divine, so let me go. Yeah, morals and ethics is a rough place because it's always a gut check, right? With a science, you don't have to ever do a gut check. You could perform an experiment and you observe the results, whether it be physical science, chemical science, biological science, math, whatever. You put some stuff together, you see how it reacts, and you go, boom. But when it's incumbent upon, like, how does that make you feel? It feels dicey. That's how it feels. It feels dicey. Because if you were going to be taught math or astrophysics or whatever, there are questions and answers to those questions because there are formula associated with them. The confidence of, like, I don't like how this guy looks is flimsy.
I'm happy to say that my conscience is clear.
Tear, boy. I'm happy to say that. Fuck you, murdered people and your families that I got to question. P.S. I'm my own lawyer.
And because I believe, I trust him with my life.
You believe, you trust him with your life.
Where'd that tissue come from?
He's been holding it, crushing it, waiting for fake tears to show. And here's the thing. We've all cried. You know what the sound of a cry sniff is? There's juice in it. He's like, I'm so sad. I go, I just can't. The victims are. You got some basil down there you really are enjoying the aroma of? Because there's no snot in that schnoz. There's no sadness snot.
Nobody will never know why it was his will for this to happen.
Hey, whoa. Remember what I said earlier? He is kind of taking accountability for God. It was his will that he murdered all those people.
Yep.
You know what? Hey, God's a kooky character. Sometimes he gives assholes winning lottery tickets. Sometimes he sends Darrell Brooks through a parade celebrating the birth of his one and only son canonically. Go for it, Darrell. For Jesus. That's what God said.
For Jesus. Ah!
Oh.
A lot of lives were changed that day, mine included.
Changed. Jesus. Yeah, but you're still alive,
God's
right,
way is
Darrell?
not our own. And no matter how much sometimes we want to question, we have to have faith.
And when we don't have faith, we act like a petulant child. And after everything the judge says, we say, what is your legal basis or factual knowledge?
I'd like to object.
That's what Jesus would do. He would be a pedantic asshole. But you know who wouldn't do that? Gay Jesus.
It's true.
He's a spirit of the law guy, not a letter of the law guy. Gay Jesus. He has an earring in his right ear. He's gay.
We love him for it.
Oh, God.
I don't know why we're still going. He's not going to make any points.
Every time he does this, I feel like the family opposite the Energizer family in those old commercials where they are having the barbecue and they're like, oh, hey, Tom, everybody. They go, brrr. Every fucking time. Or maybe it was Duracell. Moral of the story is this guy's fucking boring.
Yeah. Oh my God, and these people coughing.
Aha! Mahalo! Oh my God, do something!
Look inside yourself.
Did you murder these people? Nullify this case.
Nullify. You're privy to this information that you're not allowed to have with the recall.
There was a recall. You can nullify my recall. Nullify the Ford Motor Company. First used vehicle I ever sold was a Ford Escape. 2008, not 2010.
Did it have a recall?
I recall it perfectly. I have total recall.
Look inside your heart.
Look inside your heart.
Be privy
Think
to the
about
information.
those victim statements and the family members of the people who saw me run over their children. Look in your heart. Your heart. It's not made of asbestos. Like, what is he looking
You
at?
have everything in your
The
hands
wall.
now.
You have everything. You have the power. Nike told us it was our street. Darrell is going to tell us it's our jurisdiction and our nullification.
Everything.
Jesus Christ.
Like he's right behind Darrell here. What is he getting? Seriously, though, like, what is he getting choked up about? He's already talked about the victims and their family. We're beyond that. So he's like, getting choked up at the concept of what?
The fact that he's probably going to go to prison.
I know that, but in reality, but like, what does he want that to present as?
I don't know.
He brought up Jesus. He's crying for Jesus, baby.
Right.
Oh, he wants you to look in your heart.
Right, because what would Jesus do?
He thinks tears will make the jury feel sorry for him.
Too
Oh,
bad
yeah.
he is
Don't let the
completely
smoke and
out of
mirrors
that asset.
Yeah.
Take away your power. Don't let the theatrics take away your power.
Don't notice that my tissue is completely dry, clear, and free of both snot and tears.
All of my theatrics prior are null and void now.
Remember my nipples on that low-res 480p camera when I was holding up objection while wearing a mask?
Has a decision.
Yeah, forget I've been a fucking absolute nuisance. Like, imagine if, like, a genie popped out of a lamp, right? And you go, oh boy, good news, you get 3 wishes, but first a week of hemorrhoids. And he disappears. And you have a week of the most painful hemorrhoids, like your ass is blown apart for a week and you're in abject horror and pain. isn't your first wish going to be something to get back at that genie? Darrell Brooks gave all of the jury hemorrhoids, and now he's like, what's your first wish? And they're going to go fucking fry your ass.
Yeah.
He delivered the dog's dinner and goes like, how about a 5-star review?
It was right.
What was?
Do what's right, he said.
Oh, do what's right. I thought I said it was right. Let me get these eyelashes, these dry-ass, crusty, wind-blown eyelashes. He got fucking tumbleweeds under his eyes. They're so dry. I may have a bad hairline, but I don't have his, right? Jesus Christ.
No, you don't have his at all.
He's got like a lotus flower upside down.
I cannot.
Jesus Christ.
This is post quote unquote COVID.
Fucking the Darrell Coughs case.
My younger kids getting older, and
here's what it is. You can't see it because the camera's in so tight, but every fucking fat American who waddled in to watch this case is falling asleep, and their sleep apnea is waking them up with a harsh and like raspy. Oh God!
I'm not dead
at some
yet.
point having to explain everything to them.
Get her
Kids
some
don't
water.
stay kids forever.
There was, oh God. Okay, I'm confusing two things. I thought this happened in a court case, but it was during a talk from a figure whose name is J. Krishnamurti. And so he's giving this talk to this huge audience, and someone kept coughing, and he's like, can you get a glass of water or something? He's like, God damn it. And it's the one and only time I've ever heard a speaker be like, can you fucking take care of that? Because literally it's annoying everybody.
Majority of the time during Shabusiness's trial, she would have to look over at the police officer, and he would pour her water for her. There was only one time that I saw her actually pour the water for herself. I don't even know if she was allowed to, but she did anyway. But like every other time she would look over and like...
Well, yeah, because I'm sure they don't want her making any movements. Because what she did, hello.
Yeah. Speaking of COVID, the day that he claims he might have COVID but refuses to take a rapid test is hilarious. Darrow forces him to take one and reads the results, and he cries like a baby that he does or does not have it.
I don't think he ever... he never left court, so I don't think he ever got it. But yeah, what a bitch. He's a fucking lolcow who turned lethal.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. Like, there are levels, too, because there are lolcows and there are horror cows.
Oh, Jesus.
Which are essentially lolcows who provide laughs via horror, whereas, like, the next step is, like, the murderer. Right? Yeah, he didn't have it, of course.
And
He would have milked
kids,
it.
Frankly, a lot smarter than we were when we was kids.
Speak for yourself.
Say that much.
COVID negative, baby. Darrell Brooks, 2022.
I got a letter the other day. My youngest daughter. And
she called me a murderer.
She's still learning cursive right now, so she's the best writer when it comes to cursive. She'd rather print.
Do they teach cursive in school still?
They must, but who gives a fuck? Like, shut the fuck up, Darrell.
She said, Dad.
This is business water pouring.
And this is from the letter. She said, Dad,
Yeah, it was loud.
why are people saying all these mean things about you?
Because they're true. Verifiably true. It's not one of those truths where you go, I believe aliens are real or I believe in Bigfoot or ghosts, and that's true. It's not one of those, right? It's one of those verifiable truths where someone completely divorced from the situation can look at the facts and go, yeah, that checks out. It's not like a shaky handy cam footage of a dust particle flying past the lens and you go, it's an orb. You're a murderer, bitch.
I haven't read the rest of that letter yet.
Why?
He's been too busy reading the Bible.
Oh my god.
He can't be expected to read a letter from his daughter. Fuck that shit. She wrote more than a page.
Pretty sure his kid did not write down.
I'm sure. Because, like, here's the thing. Why would you not be able to read a letter from a child the age of learning cursive? How deep could that letter go?
Yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't a Boone letter.
Yeah, it's not like your daughter is not her sixth lawyer, you fucking moron.
She's not great at English. She's not an A+.
I excel at everything I do. Non-intentional. I can't tell if it's playing or not. He's holding still.
Well, there he is.
Fuck.
There he goes.
Right, because now he's thinking about like, oh fuck, I fucking screwed the pooch.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I know we're supposed to be like, oh, that's a cliche or that doesn't happen or whatever. He's thinking about what's going to happen to his butt in prison. He's not thinking about the victims. He's not thinking about his kids, his girlfriend, anybody in his family or anybody he's been associated with. He's thinking about the hypothetical trauma to his rectum right now. And that is the only thing drawing anything close to an emotion out of this person.
The rest of that sentence said,
I only read one sentence.
that's not the dad I know.
I mean, but then she goes on to say, because I don't know you, you've been an absentee father and I hope you rot in hell.
I saw you hit Mom.
I haven't read that part yet, but after I get past the first sentence, you better fucking believe I'm going to read that whole letter.
I've been wondering if that's what's been happening to him in prison.
Here's the thing. I watch a lot of documentaries about prison, and some will say that nothing of a sexual nature has happened to them and everything was above board and yada, yada, yada. Whereas others are like, yeah, prison wives are a thing. You know, we blow each other all the time and yada, yada, yada. Who do you believe, right?
He's in the same place as Chris Watts. Dodge Chuck
shit.
Correctional. Oh, I'm surprised Chris Watts isn't dead yet.
He's just a family annihilator. He doesn't have any mitigating factors.
He still killed children.
Right, but
he didn't do other things to them,
right.
Which I guess is...
Like, you have to be a Richard Huckle or you... Like the Ted, what's his name? Ted Dyer or whatever that, Stephen killed in prison. Yeah. Like, you have to do... I don't know. Again, I've never been to prison, so I don't know for sure. But it just feels like ex-cops and child abusers keep that shit to themselves, and everybody knows that. But by and large, all of the videos that go over, like, why was this predator of children killed in prison? It's always because they wouldn't shut the fuck up about it.
Right.
Huckle, Dyer, all of these people. Like, one guy put on PBS Kids in the communal area. Mm-hmm. Like, he was flaunting it that bad. Well, I can't think of a better way to get killed.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's what I've heard, that prison is not as rampant as people think, but I think there's a lot of gay for the stay going on. I don't have any data to support this.
Bingo, you're probably right, because it does feel like, because I was watching a documentary about this specifically, about relationships that happen in prison that don't happen anywhere else. And by and large, there'll be a dude will have a harem of boys who he likes, or maybe it's a monogamous relationship, but it's all under the guise of, since it's prison, it's okay.
Right, because they want that
Right. So
intimacy.
It's possible that Darrell is giving or receiving consensually, but the thing is, the first initiation into that milieu is by and large not consensual.
Right.
It's just you go, okay, this is what we got. Might as well make the best of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's mostly what it is, because like forcing yourself onto someone else feels very third world and or like way like an insane amount of oversight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does feel like, based on the documentaries I see, by and large, that what happens in prison is like, yeah, it's, what else are we going to do, right?
Right.
I hope that's not the case for Darrell. I hope he does not consent.
Yes. I like the fact that Shabusiness's judge gave
I've been called a lot of things.
a time limit for closing statements. I understand he's not a lawyer, so he wouldn't have all that concisely put together in like a little bow, well-packaged thing with a bow, but
still,
don't know if you know Jumpsuit Pablo, but he said it's not that common, but that could be just where he was incarcerated in South Carolina.
Right. That's the thing. Prices and participation may vary across the board, right? Because everything is going to be incumbent upon that specific situation. So yeah, I'm sure there are places where truly terrible things happen, a la the Shawshank Redemption, against people's will all the time. But I would like to think that by and large, it's some sort of homeostasis.
Yeah, who knows what goes on in the prison right down the street from us?
Right, like they're like the threats of violence and that economy based on like junk food and sexual favors and cigarettes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, pull 10 prisons across the country and they'll all be different, I guarantee. But the moral of the story is, I mean, there are very few things that people feel a need for, and fucking is one of those. It doesn't matter if it's just a bunch of dudes inside a concrete shitbox.
Right.
Some shit's gonna go down.
Yep.
A murder is not one of them.
Yeah.
Never has been, never will be.
Has been and will be forevermore. Officially.
Oh my God.
Judge is texting or playing Candy Crush.
She's on TikTok.
And then,
So before I close,
we still have 8 minutes.
Statements.
He's starting to get some snot. I really think he's worried about getting pounded. Like, right? What else is he crying about? He didn't cry for the victims, didn't cry for their family, didn't cry for his family.
It's just from dust from when he picked up his Bible and put it back down again.
My dusty ass Bible and the threat of anal intrusion.
Allergies. Is it going? Okay, it is. He moved.
Just want to say, open your hearts.
You already said that. Be privy to the information. You said that too.
I don't know why when he said open your hearts, it made me think of the Arthur theme song from the classic PBS cartoon. Believe in yourself, it's the place to start. And I said, hey, it's a wonderful kind of day. Arthur. DW. Oh my God.
Why haven't at you fast forward.
Go inside yourself.
We only have 8 minutes left. I don't know what he does or doesn't do.
You've watched this before.
Not as... Like, okay, I've watched this a couple of times. Christopher Fosmer and his 5-hour interrogation, I've watched over a dozen.
Barf.
Fills a day.
Oh my Lord.
I have no fear.
Really?
Oh, I have no Stussy.
Pray and do what you know is right.
Pray, people of the jury. Reverend
You know
Brooks.
it's right.
Maybe you should be on trial here, jury. Maybe you're the criminals. Whoa, what a paradox shift.
Think
Mind
about
blown.
everything you've heard. Think about everything you haven't
It's like when King Cobra's dad goes, maybe you're the bad guys.
privileged to hear. Think about the whole entire picture.
Think about the hoe.
I just want the fire alarm to go off in the background.
It's been a more compelling character than Darrell, for sure. I keep going like, what is that guy doing?
Yeah. I keep looking to see if it has a lever to pull.
Jordy LaFire.
And above everything,
Vote innocent. Jury nullification. Objection.
whatever you decide, make sure you yourself can live with it.
Uh-huh.
Make sure you can live with it.
God damn, that's deep. You know, he's fucking patting himself on the back in his brain. He's
Yeah.
like, oh,
That was a good one, Darrell. That was a good one.
make sure. You know, it's good because he says it twice. If it's just his random ravings and bullshit, he'll say it once and move on. But he goes, make sure you can live with it. I killed a dozen plus people, but could you not do that to me but put me in jail? It's a little less worse, but could you live with it?
Stop pausing it during silences. Press play. Look.
That's the magnitude of the power that you have.
Sorry, I need my fast-acting nebulizer.
Just like this tissue is in my hand. This is
This crumpled up, smashed, dry
my
as fuck tumbleweed tissue. And that coughing bitch in the back. That's how dry this courtroom is. Her
We need a
throat.
humidifier in this bitch.
everything. You have everything.
I think they intentionally dried out this courtroom so my tears wouldn't show on camera.
Yep.
Conspiracy. Space isn't real.
Mistrial.
Jury
You have peace with what you
nullification.
decide.
Oh my God.
I cannot.
She got COVID.
Had no regrets.
I got no regrets. Why say that? Holy shit. I can't think. Did he actually say that or am I making it up?
I don't know. Back it up. Now you have to back it up because now I don't know.
I can't effectively. Let's try.
At peace with what you decide.
Does he have no regrets? Shut up. Stop coughing.
Had no regrets.
Boom.
He said
He has
regrets.
no regrets. Well, I know he didn't say regrets, but I did not think he said I have no regrets.
They're
Hello?
showing biasedness.
Oh, yeah, that's biased as hell, and I have no regrets about that. All those people I killed was an accident, and if it wasn't an accident, it was a manufacturer's defect from Ford, and if it wasn't that, it definitely wasn't rage.
Right. So I have no regrets that I was behind the wheel of a car that magically killed a bunch of people.
You know, it's a big old whoopsie daisy. That's why pencils have erasers.
And I still don't feel bad about it, even though I can't take it back.
Erase those 12 corpses that ruined all those families' lives. It's me, Darrell Brooks. See the music video? Island Records.
Press play. Oh my God. I want that lady to cough some more. It breaks up the silence.
Don't let this decision weigh on you after it's over.
Nobody, I believe, let that happen. Jesus Christ.
Hopefully we got a long lot of living ahead of us.
Tack it agreement, sorry.
Lord willing.
Do you have a tacit agreement with the Superior Court judge to overturn the right of my judicial sovereign citizenry? What, Darrell? What?
Don't look back and kick yourself in the behind.
I won't.
If you look back, you'd be kicking yourself in the dick or vagina. Depending on gender. Or no gender if you're one of those genderless types. Smooth as a Ken doll.
It's been about 3 weeks with you.
Hopefully you would like to go to Disneyland with me afterwards.
3
Took a lot of
weeks.
courage and a lot of guts.
Taylor Shabusiness was 5 days.
Yeah, Taylor Shabusiness didn't whip her tits out at every opportunity and scream her fucking head off over literally nothing, nor did she ask for the state of Wisconsin to be produced in a courtroom.
No, she barely spoke at all.
Lawful law. Fucking stupid. You have no lawful jurisdiction.
To pause your life for this.
Yeah, that's what I would bring up. Like, if I were in trial for murder, I'd be like, hey, not only think about all the evidence and everything that makes me obviously guilty, but think about how I put you out socially, economically. Like, you're taking off time for work for me, Darrell Brooks. Don't hold that against me. I'm a cool guy. I'm a real cool guy. You saw the music video, right?
To put important things on hold.
Do you think lawful law is on that, like, chaotic evil versus like lawful good?
Lawful law.
You think lawful law is on there somewhere? Lawful for lawful?
You should be commended for being able to sit up here with this amount of pressure.
There's no pressure, literally. It's like an open and shut case. It's just you drug us
for that's not lost on me. I'm sure it's a lot.
When he's looking over there, you see how his eyes are going up? I think he is staring into the seam where the ceiling meets the wall above the jury. Because I don't even think he is delusional enough to think that he can look into the eyes of a jury member and be like, what do you think? Like, what?
Yeah, no, I don't think I think he'll look like this. He's looking at the jury there, just kind of like glancing at them when they're not looking at him, but
the hallmark of a true liar is if he were making, like, you could see his eyes moving from person to person and spewing bullshit to them, that would be a completely different league, like from AAA to Major League. But since he seems to be scanning the seam of the room, like Bush League, bitch.
Yeah. Darrell had to make the AV intern or somebody test the sound decibels in the timeout court and testify that it's loud enough because Darrell kept saying he couldn't hear anything.
That's why it was 3 weeks.
That is nuts. Yeah.
And there was the bureaucracy in place is such that they were able to find someone probably on the clock, on staff, to test that thing within a moment's notice.
Oh, yeah. Have to test and literally have to go under oath and testify and be on record that...
I want that job.
I'm sure you do. You should be a stenographer. You get to hear all the bullshit.
A lot of people wouldn't want to be sitting in your position right now.
I used to want to be one of those.
Oh, yeah. Right. He kept saying that his restraints were electrified.
What?
So one of the conspiracy theories he was like that he was being manipulated electronically through his restraints somehow. Like, Yeah, Hamburger brings up a good point. Like, I have forgotten a lot of the insane facts because it's so insane. Like, what do you look at and say that's the craziest part or that's noteworthy?
Yeah.
Because he's like, literally everything at the wall. Like, any and everything that you ever heard from a conspiracy theorist or could pull out of your ass yourself, he did.
And you guys had the guts to do it.
I can't believe we've gotten through this whole thing.
The guts. Do you have it? Guts. Mike O'Malley, let's go check out with Mo.
For taking pretty much a month and setting it to the side.
Jury deliberates for 14 minutes.
Could have been 6 days if I kept my shirt on, shut the fuck up, used a public defender, and acted as a civil human being as expected in the society of which I was brought up in.
The jail admin had to testify that he did in fact have access to a tablet and the law library because he kept saying he was restricted and therefore couldn't properly defend himself.
Right, and like that's the thing. Don't defend yourself.
Right.
There are many things that you can't do yourself without a lot of practice. Cut your hair, fix your teeth, defend yourself in a court of law. These are all things that you would need. Like when you see someone on Instagram, right, do their makeup and they look like a zombie or a skeleton afterward, you go, whoa, that took skill.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, you aren't stupid or delusional enough to be like, I'll get one of those skeleton makeup kits from the Michaels and look like that by this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was his last hurrah. But I kind of feel like this might happen with Sarah too. Since she is meta, she's going to swing for the fences, and she knows that it's probably, a Darrell Brooks chance in hell, so why not?
Well, that, and now they're trying to get a person in for like spousal abuse.
Right.
Person.
Whatever. All we do in this situation is give, more often than not, hopefully and ideally, the actual perpetrator chance after chance after chance after chance that they denied their victims. That's what we call justice.
Yeah.
For this.
He's going to bite his bottom lip off. He's chewing it so much.
I know it's probably not proper, but you guys deserve a round of applause if you could get one.
Right, because here's the thing. A defense is only... A defense is only worth something if it's not an open and shut case, right?
Mm.
This was never going to be like on the razor's edge or like it could go one way or the other. This was a shutout.
Yeah.
So he knew that. The prosecutor knew that. The judge knew that. The coughing bitch knows that. But we're all here because he wants to turn it into a three-ring circus. He is Barnum and Bailey.
Yeah.
Because he knows that after this is all over, he'll be in jail and there'll be no more cameras, no more people who have to listen to him by law.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be the Sarah Boone show, for sure. I wish we could do that live while she's live on trial.
I was so hoping that she would have a redemption arc.
I don't think she's going to.
I know she won't.
Thank you guys sincerely. And I know, and I have faith and I trust that you guys know what's right.
You women, though, I don't trust you.
I don't think it's fair to just say guys, but
it's fair to say. Little levity in this, double-digit homicide, guys.
I believe in your heart you know what's right.
They did 6 consecutive life sentences. Unbelievable, right? Can you imagine being in that jury, listening and watching that in real time? Like,
No.
we had the ability to stop and talk about it. I can't imagine. Just like, even now my head is swimming because so much was said. And this was apropos of nothing. If you don't know the case, this just must seem like a fever dream. But after everything that happened, it's just like a crazy Sunday where at this point, the jury looks pretty normal.
He said nothing.
No, but he also had nothing to say. Like, what's he going to say?
Right. He did not.
He swung for the fences with jury nullification. He tried the recall that was bullshit. When you live in a land of immaterial and irrational thoughts that are only based in your pattern of thinking.
Yeah, I think my troubles that I was having with him is because he represented himself. And my limited knowledge of closing arguments is Shabusiness's case, and where the defense literally like summarized the things that we saw in the last 4 days.
Well, the prosecutor does.
The defense also kind of
well,
did that
maybe
too.
they do, but they refute each point.
Right.
And P.S. So back here, Hamburger, this is a big jar of lemons. It's not actually marinating. There's resin in there. I found that at Goodwill, but I love lemons, so that's why.
Yeah, lemons are the thing.
A sick ass grave.
It's the fruit of
digger.
the house.
Monster. Yeah, but flamingos and lemons. That's what we got right here. What were we talking about before that?
But like Mr. Freilich, Shabusiness's defense lawyer, he brought up things like of reasons why she was like basically crazy and because we all know she did it. Like she literally in the video confessed the fact that she did the things.
Same thing here with Darrell. Like there was irrefutable evidence.
But the way he said it, obviously as a defense lawyer, was much more. It was still bad because he was still very not great at his anything. But
because that's the thing about it is like.
We have a whole spirits closet
over there. Like I was drinking a homebrew tonight, but yeah, we got whatever. Moral of the story is, it's more complex. Whereas a good scientist only has to remember facts and formula and patterns and stuff like that. When we work in this art that is law, it's a performance. And if you're a bad performer, that's it. Yeah. And it goes for everything from the interrogators, from the beat cops, all the way up to the judge, the jury, the prosecutor, and the defense. You've got to have some sort of charisma to be able to interact with people or plead a case to them. You need to have the charisma to get the information out of the people in as unobtrusive a manner as possible and as accurate as possible, but you also need to be able to express ideas to people to get them to believe you.
Yeah, Mr. Freilich of the defense was not.
Right, and that's the thing. If you're not good at being a human,
in my opinion,
if you're not good at charisma, if you're not good at reading a room, or if you're just inexperienced, you can come off like that.
And like majority of his questioning these witnesses for that were like he was cross examining whatever. Half of it was literally reiterating the same things the prosecution said, like, how many years have you been a doctor? How many blah blah. I'm like, who the fuck cares? She already said it on the 5 seconds ago.
That's why we don't go over a lot of courtroom stuff, because in a courtroom you have to spend the first 20 minutes being like, what's your name? Where'd you go to college? Who are you married to? How long have you worked?
Tell us your resume.
Where'd you work before that? Where'd you work before that? What's your expertise? And so, yeah, that is a huge speed bump to the juiciness of the whatever they're
I mean,
talking
it
about.
got her stuff got juicy pretty quick. But no, I did not see the body cam of the deputies restraining her after she attacked her other lawyer.
It was wild. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but like, holy shit. I can't, Because you're just sitting there in a suit, right? And then she business goes apeshit on you.
You know, she just did that for looks. She didn't do that. She's not like.
I mean, whatever. Who does the why is not important.
Right.
The what is. Once the people are dead, the things are stolen, the property is damaged, the why doesn't matter. Yeah. It's done. It's like they're almost friendly to her. Right, because in a courtroom, that's the thing. There's decorum in a courtroom that doesn't exist in an interrogation room or anywhere else. Whereas, like, there's probably multiple instances of this, but there are instances of, like, cartel members getting... I just watched a video about this today where these two cartel members got in the same courtroom as the person they were set to hit, right? All three of them were in handcuffs. There were 15 police deputies in the room, and the two dudes were able to slip out their handcuffs, pull out their concealed blades, and stab this dude over 50 times in front of umpteen dozen witnesses.
Nice.
So much so that one of the bailiffs had to quit her job because she was, inflicted with PTSD.
I mean, yeah, I would be too. Yeah, it's crazy. And part of me wonders if, like you said, they were like, hey, you just attacked your lawyer. Like, they probably knew she was doing it as an act.
Right.
So they probably just were like, hey, like, what the fuck?
But once you buy in for a penny, you buy in for a pound.
Yeah,
it's
she could have kept going crazy and they would have had to be more rough.
I can't remember her name. The lady who just faked her disappearance, a la Sherry Papini. Cassidy or Carly something?
Carly something? Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember her name. We were just talking about it in the Discord.
Shit, and I forgot why I was bringing her up. What were we talking about?
Did she pretend like she was crazy or something?
No. Sorry. The point of no return.
Oh.
If you have a stupid plan, there's always a point of no return. And so for Sherry, it's when she threw her shit in the ground and her ex-boyfriend picked her up. For Carly, or whatever her name is, it's when she called 911 to report the non-existent baby left by the side of the road.
Right.
And if you fuck that pivotal piece of the puzzle up, which they always do.
Yeah,
they all did.
Yeah.
If you're asking about the cartel stuff, I don't know. There's some channels out there that I watch that follow cartel stuff, the villains, the club, and a couple of their YouTube channels out there. But yeah, it doesn't take much because, like, here's the thing. The deputies have to follow the rules because they work for the court. So none of them were armed with firearms.
Yeah.
So they all just basically had to stand back and watch this guy get lacerated to death.
Yeah.
Because, again, the criminals, they're already criminals. When you're breaking rules by virtue of your...
Carly Russell. Yeah.
There we go. Yes, Carly Russell. Thank you. With the baby on the side of the road.
People who knew about wigs knew it was fake right away because she left her expensive wig in her car and it's hard to take off.
Right. That the least of her concerns, right? Like leaving the wig, leaving the food,
being an idiot.
On the surface, you go, oh, whoa, abduction. But like Googling Taken, Googling Amber Alert, everything else about that situation, rolling the 1,800 feet while on the phone with a 911 operator about a baby who can't possibly keep pace with you as you roll the 1,800 feet. Whatever. I'm no cop or detective, but something seems suspicious about that shit. Anywho, guys. Then the wig.
The wig was funny. Oh, yeah.
Wigs are always funny. I've known people who've worn wigs like...
Well, it was too expensive to sacrifice that kind of wig because of how hard it was to take off.
I mean, whatever. But that's the thing. Like, you would throw something... Like, when Sherry Papini threw down both of her AirPods...
Right.
Like, that was a $200 investment she's never getting back. And then plus the $30 she had to give to her ex-boyfriend for the branding iron from Michaels.
Yep.
Whatever. Fucking stupid. Don't
do
pretend
crimes.
You've been kidnapped. Like, don't commit crimes. Like, Jesus. Anyway, guys, that's it. Next week, maybe we'll do another Sarah Boone letter or something else. I don't know yet because I never do. But until next time, we'll see you then. I appreciate you for sticking around as long as you did, if you did. Bye.
For the try to
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.